And we're live. Woo! What an evening it is. Some would say that this is a late broadcast. Some would say this is an early broadcast. Who's to say?
Hello there.
Well, hello. You got here quickly. Real quick, can I get your name, age, and pronouns?
Yeah, my name is Jacob. I'm 20 years old. He, him, and I'm a Christian.
All right. So, welcome in, Jacob. We are right at the start of our stream here. So, you think you can convert this atheist?
No, ultimately God is the one who brings people to the knowledge of the truth, but I can show you like my own anecdotal experience and the evidence that convinced me as to why God was real. Like I was previously an atheist for 14 years. And
Great.
yeah.
I just want to say anecdotal experience is going to do nothing for me because I've heard anecdotal experience from people of various religions. So if you're trying to convince me of the Christian God, anecdotal experience is not what's going to do it.
Sure, in that I was talking like meaning my conversion personally and the things.
Yeah, that's what
that,
anecdotal would
I
mean,
guess.
yes.
So no, like, but as in the evangelical apologetic things that convince me in that sense, you know.
Well, evidence would be different from like your personal testimony. If you have evidence,
Okay.
sure, I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, so I'd say like one would be the cosmological argument.
Ooh, the
in
Kalam,
how-
or
There's many different ones, but like how the idea that science shows that everything in being must have a cause. We look to the structure of how our universe came about. It had a beginning from the Big Bang.
no.
Therefore, the cyclical argument saying that the Big Bang caused the Big Bang wouldn't be valid. So
Yeah, the Big
what this
Bang's not
says
an
basically,
absolute beginning, Jacob.
yeah, so you can say this, but the thing that this rebutes is the idea that it's illogical to hold to the position that there is a God. This elevates that position to an equal standing with the alternative view that would be like the universe existing forever or all these other different explanations.
Yeah, I feel like you didn't really listen when I said that the Big Bang doesn't mean that there was an absolute start to the universe.
No, yeah, I know what you mean, because you can say that's part of a cycle, right?
Well, I would just say that the Big Bang is the beginning of like the current state of our universe, the beginning of the observable state of our universe. Majority of physicists agree it doesn't mean that there was like an absolute beginning to time. In fact, I would say the idea that time began to exist would be contradictory.
How so?
Because you would have to have a changeless state for there to be no time. A changeless state could not then change into a changing state.
What if it's like a separate category, though?
What do you mean by separate category?
So you're speaking in terms of like time being created in time, it seems like.
I'm talking about time beginning. So for there to be a state before time, so time would be a sequence of events.
But that wouldn't apply,
it would be
though, do you see?
It would be defined by change. So it would have to be an unchanging state. So somehow a state that does not change changes into a changing state.
I think you're more touching on, can God create something outside of himself?
No, that's not. I didn't include God in that whatsoever.
That kind of connects, because if God was this is what I believe, God is the causal, what's the word? I don't know. The cause for the Big Bang, then therefore he created time, because the assumption in that is that time started at the Big Bang. And from saying that no, time can't happen, this is a contradiction, you'd be saying the uncaused state, so therefore God, right?
Yeah, that's not what I was saying was that time necessarily must have always existed, because there could not be a timeless state that became a state with time.
Why not?
I've already said, but I'll say again, because For there to be a timeless state, it would have to be a state without any change, because without time, nothing could change. There could be no sequence of events. So somehow this unchanging state would have to change into a changing state. That is what's contradictory.
Unchanging in
An
what sense,
unchanging
then?
state, literally a state without change. Because if there was any change in existence, then that necessitates the existence of time.
But from my understanding, you're taking the elements of time with like a change on a timeline and saying that it had to be caused in the same kind of like way from that cause happens in our understanding of how time plays out. What if it was caused in the situation where there's uncausality outside of any sort of linear chronology?
Jacob, I don't think that addressed the heart of my problem.
So what I'm saying is you're applying it.
Sorry, just let's say it this way. Would you agree that time is like a sequence of events?
Yeah.
So for there to be a sequence of events, that would have to mean that there is some form of change. Something that once was in one state is now in a different state. It must progress from one state to another. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So for there to be a state without time would mean that there must be a state where there was no change and where there were no sequences of events.
Mm-hmm.
So if there is a state without change and no sequences of events, how would then time come to exist? Which would mean, firstly, that state without change changed into a state with change. But also when there can be no sequence of events and there was before no time and now there is time, that would be a sequence of events. So that would mean that there is a timeless state that participates in time, which cannot happen.
I think that touches on infinite regression, right?
No.
Is it not?
No.
Well, the idea that the universe came from an infinite chain of events to the current point, so the infinite change of cycle of like big freeze or whatever, and then that actually leads to where the present moment is never reached. But with God, it provides a necessary explanation that rebuts the idea that there has to be some sort of process of change beforehand.
So Jacob, the whole infinite regress thing, it doesn't really... If you establish an arbitrary starting point, you can have an infinite regress. If you have a number line, it can continue each way in infinite directions, and you establish an arbitrary starting point at 0. So if we decide, hey, like, for example, we know that the Earth is like billions of years old. We have a timeline where we have like before the Common Era and in the Common Era. That's pretty arbitrarily established. It doesn't actually reflect like how long the Earth itself has existed or even how long humans have occupied it. We have established an arbitrary starting point for which we want to measure our existence. We could do the exact same thing with the universe.
It's not arbitrary though, because we know that the Big Bang, at least for, I don't know what you mean about time not being understood as like starting at that point, because you're just kind of assuming there that science reaches to a definite deductive conclusion that is the case, but time and space started at the Big Bang, so it's not arbitrary, is it?
We don't know that time and space started at the Big Bang.
But to the science current understanding, that's all we can deductively
our breakdown, our math begins to break down when we try to look at a point prior to the Big Bang. But again, the majority of physicists would disagree that the Big Bang was an absolute start to time or to the universe.
But because they disagree, isn't that more down to their personal contentions rather than the conclusions that are made solely from their research?
When it's nearly 70%, I would say it's going to be based off of the data, not based off of just like how they feel that day.
But how can you say that though? Correlation isn't causation.
What do you think that means in this context? That correlation isn't causation?
Because the measurement of science only reaches far back enough to make the conclusion that
Yeah, so what do you,
space and
when you
time
say
began at the Big
correlation
Bang.
does not mean causation, what does that mean in this context?
So you are referring to the high majority of the officials in this area of science that have some opinion against the idea that that there was like at the start of the Big Bang. But
It's
I'm
like
saying that's separate
researchers, the
to
majority of those who
the
are
actual
physicists.
research.
Yeah, so
Yeah, so that's
the
separate
majority of
from
those who do that research would disagree that the Big Bang was an absolute start to time. So, Jacob, why would I listen to you who has done no research on it, thinking that there is a beginning to time because of the Big Bang?
But you'd agree that those contentions they have personally derived from something that's separate to the deductive conclusions that could be brought out from their astrophysics research itself.
I would say it's based off of their research and the evidence that they've gathered and their expertise in the
But
field.
their
I have no
assumptions are not
reason.
deductive.
Their assumptions, again, it's based off of the evidence.
They're not deductive though.
But also, didn't you say earlier you were like, "Oh, scientists agree to this"? Like, you were wrong, but like it's earlier you were trying to appeal to scientists, but now suddenly when science doesn't agree with what you think, oh, it's just their personal opinion, not based off of their research whatsoever. Why would
No,
a
because
scientist draw a
insofar
personal
as
conclusion that completely conflicts with the evidence of their research?
it doesn't conflict at the point of making the decision about like what happened before or after the Big Bang, but the Big Bang up to that point we have the measurement, so to then make an inference from that would be within that scientific logical that's why I'm using it as substantiation for my point of view,
Yeah.
and that's separate to what you're
Jacob,
talking about.
so again, nearly 70% of physicists, when polled, agree that the Big Bang does not mean there was an absolute beginning to time. You stated that it did, as if that were a like an agreed upon conclusion, and that's just not the case. Again, you haven't really contended with my problem about time beginning and why that would be contradictory. You tried to bring it back to infinite regress, which was almost the opposite of what I was talking about, because I was talking about like how time necessarily must have always existed, and you were trying to say the opposite of like, oh, time couldn't have always existed. So I don't know, Jacob. I'm not super convinced to convert just yet.
Yeah, so I'd agree with you there. So when scientists have this opinion, I'm not saying that the opinion they've come to conflicts with the evidence, but neither am I saying that the belief that I believe in conflicts with the evidence either. So what I was saying from the start is that the cosmological argument in relation to this brought me from the position of thinking that it's illogical to believe there's a God to that it's reasonable to come to the conclusion that there is a God. And I would like you to provide me with any sort of evidence that contradicts what I'm saying and that what I believe is illogical.
Yeah. So, well, you're trying to use the Kalam cosmological argument, which if we break down the premises, it's that everything that begins to exist must have a cause. The second premise is that the universe began to exist, and the conclusion is therefore the universe must have a cause. And then some will draw it out further to say that the cause must have these specific characteristics. But here the problem is I disagree with the second premise. I disagree with the idea that the universe began to exist. I hold to an eternal universe. So, like I said, I hold that time must necessarily have always existed. If time necessarily must have always existed, then I can hold to an eternal universe as well.
But the point I was making was, can you refute the fact that the idea that my belief held is illogical? In other words, that like it's necessarily false.
That it is necessarily false?
Yeah.
Well, I would reject the second premise. If the second premise is not true, then the conclusion does not follow.
But you're rejecting it out of...
I showed you a logical contradiction. It must necessarily be false because time could not have begun to exist. Time must have always existed. Therefore, it could not have begun, so that shows a contradiction in the second premise of your argument.
Okay, so you're going to something else. That's not the cosmological. You're going to... Right. Yeah, but I would say...
What? Jacob, are you talking to someone else too? What conversation are you having?
No. Okay, right. So I'm not being eloquent enough here. But I would disagree. I don't think time needs to have a change for time to exist. I think that there can be a state where there's an unchangingness. In other words, God is unchanging and infinite, and he can then create time where there is like a process of change.
So you think God could have existed in a timeless state?
Yeah. He's
Is
like
it possible?
Outside of time and space.
Is it possible to take any sort of action in a timeless state?
So then again, you're going back to...
I'm just asking about like definitionally in time. If one is in a timeless state, is it possible to take any sort of action?
So I'd say it's not mutually exclusive to create time, for time to come about as a result of God.
Prior to creating time, in a timeless state, prior to creating time, would it be possible to take any action?
Okay, listen, so I'm answering it if I can just
You're
get
not.
the full thing out. So it's not mutually exclusive for God to exist, right? And to be in an unchanged state and to create time, and also to not like change and cause things within his like essence of being infinite and unchanging, you know what I mean? So no, I disagree with you. So God doesn't like change or...
Great. Thank you for not answering my question. I'll ask it one more time, see if you get it this time. So is it possible in a state without time to take any action?
It's not possible, no.
No. So could God do anything in a state without time?
Like I said, it's not mutually exclusive because you're bringing in the elements of time and creating... I know it makes no sense, right?
Prior to time, could he do anything?
But that question in itself is a presupposition that God was prior to time in quotation marks.
You said he created it.
Time. He created it in the sense of like time terminology, but I would say realistically he created time and space outside of...
Yeah, Jacob, here's the problem. You're showing why that second premise of the Kalam is contradictory. Because for him to have created time, that puts a timeless state into a timeline, which is contradictory. So God could not have taken any action prior to there being time, because in order to take an action, you must be in a state with time for there to be a sequence of events in which you are taking that action.
But you're presupposing that would still be the case in a reality where there is no time. While in time that would be the case, but we're talking about reality outside of time.
You just said that in a state with no time, no action could be taken. You just agreed with that.
In the sense of time.
You cannot have the sense of time in a timeless state, Jacob.
Exactly.
Okay, well, you're doing a really great job of arguing against yourself, Jacob. I appreciate that. That makes my job really easy.
Okay, what would you say about Jesus' resurrection?
Didn't happen. I appreciate the pivot, but it didn't happen.
Okay, but if it didn't happen, who would die for something that they claim to have seen? And thus die for a lie, if you're saying that it didn't happen?
Can you show me the historical evidence of people like dying
assuming that
who
the
were
historical
supposed
evidence
eyewitnesses?
is credible? Yeah, assuming that the historical evidence is credible, let's do that just for the sake of argument.
Can you show it to me?
Well,
why would I assume the evidence is credible without being presented with it?
No, just for the sake of argument, I like...
It's not how argument works. You can't say, just assume that I have a bunch of evidence that says I'm right. What do you mean?
No, but it's about, so we can go to the historical argument, but this is a separate argument, and like we can engage with that, right?
No, well, my argument is there's not sufficient historical evidence to even believe that all the people who supposedly died for seeing the resurrection of Jesus actually did.
Okay, well, most even atheist historians have a consensus that Jesus lived and was crucified on the cross, contrary to what Islam teaches, that he was replaced.
Okay, yeah,
so
you
we can go up
said
to that point.
Right, sure. So there was potentially a person who lived and was executed. What does that prove about the people who supposedly saw that resurrection, like that they got executed?
So we have the external biblical accounts, archaeological.
Of who?
Well, we have the Shroud of Turin. We have archaeological. Why do you laugh?
I'm so sorry. It's just the Shroud of Turin is like one of the biggest bullshit pieces of fake evidence.
Are you talking about the 1980 carbon dating study?
I'm talking about more than that. I'm talking about the 3D models that showed that the impression on the cloth didn't make sense for the actual 3D contours of a human face and would have made more sense on an almost completely flat surface. I'm talking about the fact that the methods used to weave the cloth wouldn't have existed yet during the time in which Jesus was supposedly crucified. I'm talking about the fact that the Bible specifically says that there were 2 cloths wrapped around Jesus, not just one.
Yeah, so you have the face cloth, and that was actually found separately. In another instance, and the Bible holds to that, and the shroud, it doesn't say anything about the shroud. The fibers in the cloth, the very, very micro surface of it was scarred with an image. You can't do that. There was no pigment on it. And researchers have hypothesized that it would have to have been resulted by a voltage that exceeds any sort of ability that people would have even been able to done in the 1300s. But then again, we found pollen in the shroud that dates back to 1st century, so I don't know what you say about that.
People There's not been pollen from the 1st century.
Yes.
So the shroud first came onto the scene in the 1300s, and even in the 1300s, it was stated to be a forgery. We have been able to recreate the impression on the Shroud of Turin. The weaving was a herringbone pattern that wasn't around in the 1st century CE. Can you give me the study that showed that there was pollen from the 1st century?
Sure. Just get my...
Oh. Well, Jacob, I don't know if you meant to do that or not, but I'm going to call this a mercy, and I'm going to move on to the next guest. Oh, they all rescinded their invitations. So, hello everybody. How are we doing? It is a wonderful Saturday night. I went to Ren Fair today. I got an adorable little thing that I want to show you guys. His name is Marshall. Look at this cutie. They were sewing the plushies at the stand. So these are like really handmade. I just thought that he was like one of the cutest fucking things I've ever seen. So this is Marshall. And he's gonna be sitting in on stream. He will not be able to read chat where he's gonna be sitting, but he will be able to feel your energy. I just think he's so cute and he's so very soft. So I wanted to show you guys what I got. It was a wonderful day. Da, 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 da. Is Marshall an atheist? Of course. Raising him right. Hello? Hey there. Welcome in. You are a child.
Wait, no.
That, I'm sorry. There was 3 children in your profile picture and your voice sounded very young. Jacob, I'm sorry. I'm gonna have mercy on you and not let you back up. Hello, Bobby.
Hello.
Been a while since you've been on my stream. How's it going? You gonna try to convert me tonight?
Oh, you remember me? No,
Yeah, you
this.
you
I
keep
mean,
bothering my chat. Of course I do.
my bad. I only come for genuine conversation. So, have you looked at the reasons of why some atheists convert to the faith, to God?
Yeah, and I
What
don't
is
find them
what is?
convincing.
So, what would you say that most likely they say on why they convert?
A vast majority is a personal experience. They feel that they had some sort of moment where they felt the presence of God. And it just so happens that a lot of those people are in particularly vulnerable emotional states. Like, it's extremely common to hear that they were at their lowest point, or that they had some sort of like substance addiction, or that they had like family or personal problems. Um, that's the majority of stories that I hear.
Yeah, but I mean, pretty much like atheists go off of stat or facts, right? Like, is that not accurate?
Atheism's not a monolith; it's just lacking a belief in God.
Yeah, due to the lack of evidence that they
Not
claim.
necessarily.
So,
It's
would
just
you say that
lacking a
there's
belief.
okay? So, would you say there is a lack of evidence for the existence of God?
I mean, I personally would, but to say that that is like a viewpoint of atheism is just not correct.
Okay. Well, I mean, I hear on your, I can't say all of atheist viewpoints, but a good majority hold to facts as their evidence.
Okay.
Meaning, so facts don't deal with absolutes, though you can use that, I guess. I mean, you can use scientific theory and, like scientifical facts or whatever, however you want to use wordplay. But ultimately, I mean, it has to come down to a foundational truth and what can we make sense of within that foundational truth of this world.
Bobby, this conversation right now is making me think that I should maybe have guests do a breathalyzer before they come up on my stream.
So yeah, okay. So I'll clarify a little better. So I can say like I can pick something that I know is not true or that I know 100% isn't true and label it as facts, just because I feel it's a fact, right?
Okay, sure you can. That doesn't make it accurate, but typically, if people are presenting something to you as
Exactly.
fact, they have evidence to back it up.
Exactly. So, but really, there is no evidence behind the atheist viewpoint because there's no moral foundation. There's no
Athe-
origin foundation.
Atheism is not a belief system.
It's pretty much denying the existence of a creator.
No, it's lacking a belief in a creator. It's very different.
No, yeah. So this is pretty much like the stance that T women use to be able to call themselves a woman.
The fuck is up with the random transphobia, Bobby? We're talking about the Bible.
It's not transphobia, but again, it goes back to foundational truth. Like we can use wordplay all day, but not be accurate in it. Just like you stated, a fact can we can call something a fact all day, but if it's not accurate, that disproves us calling it a fact. So you deplete your own argument. So
You're using so many words to say literally nothing.
yeah, hmm.
Bobby, I have people in request asking if I could put up a split screen of paint drying. That's how interesting you're being.
Well, yeah, so the topic shouldn't be how interesting, but how genuine and accurate the conversation is.
Well, I'm proud to say you've accomplished none.
Well, I mean, really, you're not. I mean, I know you guys feel like we should have to convert you guys or convince you of a God, but that we're not told that as believers. We don't say.
Okay. All right. Welcome in.
Hi, do you mind giving me a second?
Sure.
Okay.
Just if I can get your name, age, and pronouns when you're ready.
Yeah, sure. I'll just tell you before I have to go for a second. But it's Oriel, Oriel. Last name, you probably don't know your last name. But Oriel, he, him.
Wait, sorry, Oriel,
And-
or was that an O at the end or an L?
An L.
Okay. I was like Oreo, but with an extra letter.
And then I'm 19. But give me 1 second.
Okay.
Apologies.
What a lively stream this evening, isn't it, huh? All these guests. There are more documented eyewitnesses to the Alabama leprechaun than to Jesus' resurrection. Who all seen the leprechaun say, yeah? Some people. Let's see. Do I have a pen here? I do have a pen here. I will draw the leprechaun from memory, the way that I remember it being on the fucking news broadcast. What do I have to draw on?
I'm back.
Okay, 1 second. I'm drawing a leprechaun. So what religion are you, Oriel?
Yeah, Judaism.
Alright, so are you gonna convert me?
My goal is to get you to believe in the Jewish God. Yeah.
Okay, well, go ahead.
Okay. So what I would say is that we believe in Judaism and we accept Judaism because we can prove the national revelation took place at Sinai to tens of thousands of reliable transmitters that have transmitted the information until now. And therefore we accept it.
I think we've talked before. Have we talked before?
I don't think so.
Okay, because I've heard this argument before and it made no sense because it's like, okay, so because a bunch of people believe something happened, therefore it must be true.
But that's not the argument. I can give you the argument if you want.
Yeah, just give me the argument why I should think that it's true.
Right, okay. So tens of thousands of sages attest today to receiving the Masorah, which is the transmission of the written Torah and the revelation that took place at Sinai, the events that took place, from the previous generation, recounting the numbers of the previous generation in the tens of thousands, verifying them through observation to be righteous, pious, and intellectual, and also receiving from these tens of thousands before them that this process of generational transmission has always been in the tens of thousands since Sinai. For this to be false,
you have definitely been here before.
Can I finish the claim, or?
Yeah, well, it's just you're saying things that you've already said. It just doesn't track that, like, because a bunch of people genuinely believe something, that therefore it must be true. Like, yeah, I feel like you do this argument a lot.
It's because the testimony has an improbability of fabrication or falling into error in its transmission.
Okay,
right?
So what about all the people of other religions that would attest that they've genuinely received the word of God, or the people, like, there's so many different religions who would claim to have heard from their God.
Right. So no other religion has this. What they have, for example, is independent testimony about their personal experiences. But even the start of, like, the major religions, right? For example, we can look at Islam, right? It starts with the testimony of one individual, right, about the Quran. In regards to Christianity, right, the Christian doctrine begins through the 12 apostles and Paul, right? There is no national revelation in these other religions, right, where they can trace reliable transmitters back into that point, right? However, there is in Judaism, you have a national revelation of tens of thousands of reliable transmitters that both have the epistemic criteria of observed very high intelligence and righteousness, right?
How do you measure righteousness?
Right. So you would just attest in the same way, for example, that you as I'm going to assume, for example, that you trust your mother. Am I wrong, or can I assume that?
Sure.
Okay, sure. So you would probably trust your mother, right, because you observed her throughout your life to take care of you, right, to be somewhat of a good person, how she treats you. And probably you would see that she has some form of intelligence, right? I'm not going to say like she's a genius, but let's say your mom is somewhat intelligent. So if your mom, for example, told you that she got into a car crash, you would trust her, right? You would consider her reliable because you observed something.
Sure, but if my mom told me that she saw God, I would not trust her.
Right. If your mom told you that, why? Because the claim is so drastic, right? It's so abnormal that you would probably say either your mom made a mistake in what she saw, right? Or your mom, I use this example all the time with like a UFO, right? If your mom told you she saw a UFO and all the details, right? But if your mom came, for example, with tens of thousands of reliably known, let's say PhDs, that all attested in grave description to everything that took place, including the alien coming off of the ship and all the descriptions of what took place, you would have to affirm the testimony because it's so strong, because the transmitters are so reliable and the amount of them makes it improbable for error or fabrication. Right? So obviously I agree with you, it's one person, yeah, but if it's tens of thousands, for example, Harvard students in a certain category, you would affirm their testimony. So, yeah.
If it was just testimony, no.
So you wouldn't affirm tens of thousands of, let's say, PhDs, all attesting to observing a certain phenomena in grave detail. You wouldn't affirm that?
No. If it was just testimony.
Okay, so
if they had no other evidence other than testimony, no.
Right, so at that point, you fall into a complete state of unverifiability, and I'll explain why. First of all, everything you get is basically...
again, evidence is what I'm asking for.
Right. So testimonial evidence is evidence, and I'll explain how if you take this position, you've made an irrational assumption, number one, an improbable assumption, but now you can't trust anyone. Why? Because it's much more likely, for example, your doctor, who you trust to give you medication, made a mistake in the production of the medication that will lead to you dying, or intentionally poison the medication that can lead to you dying.
No.
Then tens of thousands. Can I finish? Then tens of
thousands. That's wrong. I'm going to correct you if you say something wrong. First of all, doctors don't make medications. Pharmaceutical companies make medications, and they have so many layers of tests that medication has to undergo. Then even at like a retail pharmacy level, there's tons of safety checks that they're restricted by like governmental regulations, where you have to match like the picture of the medication, where there has to be like measurements of the amount of dosages, sometimes even in like time release safes so that they can't be given the incorrect medication. The bottles have to be scanned out multiple times to verify that they are going to the correct person. There's tons and tons and tons of layers of protections to prevent someone from getting some sort of tainted medication.
Right, so that was my point. Like, the point is when a doctor provides you the medication, right, it is much more likely that he could have taken that medication that he received from the pharmacy and poisoned it.
No.
So let me finish the claim. Okay.
It's wrong.
So it's not wrong. So
it
you're
is.
Going to say, and I'll explain why.
I've worked in a pharmacy, Oriel. It is wrong.
Again,
doctors rarely give patients medications directly as well. Even if you're talking about like in a hospital level, like maybe it would be administered by a nurse, but it's not going to be common for a doctor to be the one administering medication to someone. And again, there's layers and layers of protection to avoid there being any sort of tainting or any sort of mistake in the medication they're receiving.
So you can even use this at the person at the counter of the pharmacy, right? The person you receive it from. Right. Again, it's very likely, and not even very likely, it's much more likely that he would grab that medication and poison it than tens of thousands of reliable people with the epistemological criteria of immense intelligence and righteousness would collectively come to fabricate an event, right? How much more so one reliable transmitter makes up or lies about something than tens of thousands would.
What's the process of preparing a medication to sell in a retail pharmacy?
This is irrelevant, right? Because
no, it's very relevant because you're saying it's more likely for, you have to know the likelihood of that thing happening to say that it's more or less likely than what you're talking about.
I'm saying in regards to the single person you receive it from, right? So I'm not saying again in the entire process itself. What I'm saying is that the person you receive it from,
right, but there's safeguards within that.
Right. So again, how do you know the person at the counter who is going to the back of the shop to get you that medication is not secretly poisoning?
Have you ever been in a pharmacy?
Yes, I'm asking you. How do you know?
How do you know? Well, because once medications are bagged, they are barcoded. They are not put in the back of the pharmacy. They are always put in view. They have cameras on them at all times. You have to scan the correct NDC out as well as the barcode for the patient itself. Like what do you mean? And right, when you say poisoning, what sort of poison would they put in there? Because there's so many checks along the way of making the medication that like you can't alter it once it's been sealed.
How do you know it's not very possible that the guy, or probable, the guy can just go take it, go to the back, go anywhere, and then poison it? Like, how do you know? Based on what?
Because of all the safeguards that I just told you.
Right, and because you observe the person to have a certain level of reliability, right?
No, it's more because I know the standards in a pharmacy.
It's not because the person's reliable. That's not why.
Not necessarily. It is because I know they are held to a certain set of standards within their job that they must keep in order to keep their job. So right. Pharmacists have to scan the NDC of the medication, and if they're using a stock bottle, the seal must remain intact on the stock bottle. If they are using from like a larger bottle, or if it's like a generic, so it has like a large quantity in the stock bottle,
so then again, the analogy can apply to anything, right? Again, if you want to get more descriptive, I can even say, like, for example, a doctor giving someone a shot, right? Or for example, for health reasons, it can be really anything. The point is that when you trust a certain individual, whether it's like a doctor or a nurse or anyone, right? You trust them because they have a certain level of criteria, right? The guy has a degree in the field, so you know he's intelligent in that area, and you observe him to take care of patients, to be successful, right? No one's going to go to a doctor that is known in the community that when dealing with their patients they get very sick or they die, right? They're going to look at the doctor's reputation, and they're going to see this guy has a good reputation. He's known for taking care of people. I observed this. I observed him taking care of me.
Oriel, there's another problem here. Doctors are not usually the ones to administer injections.
Again, it can be a nurse. It doesn't matter, right? The point is that anyone you observe has a certain criteria of a reliability where you will affirm and be okay with what they do. You will trust them based on what you observed.
But they're not infallible, which is why we have medical malpractice lawsuits.
Right, so I never said they were infallible. Just like I'm saying that my transmitters, I never said they're infallible. I'm going by the improbability of the claim being fabricated or erroring. Right, so I would never say they're infallible, but we don't go by, like, I'm not arguing infallibility, right? So in the same way that you would trust a nurse or a doctor to do certain things that could be medically harmful because you observe them to have a specific criteria, in the same way we deal with the sages. And it's much more likely the nurse made a mistake in the injection and it can end up in your death.
Hey Joel, has this guy been on yours before? I feel like I've seen him.
Yeah, I recognize the argument. I feel like it was a different account. Rabbi, was it the same account that you yelled at me on?
Yelled at you, just muted me. But yeah. So
earlier, on my live. Do you remember?
Yeah, I never yelled at you. You just kind of muted me. But yeah.
I don't mute you. I don't mute.
No, you do.
Who are the sages?
Right, so you're basically asking how we know they exist, correct?
Yeah.
Right, so we know every Orthodox Jew prescribes to the Mishnah Torah of the Rambam, right? And also Seder Hadorot. And Seder Hadorot affirms this claim. So we know that every Orthodox Jew affirms this. So we can know that tens of thousands of the sages affirm this, because to be an Orthodox Jew, you have to affirm the Mishnah Torah.
So when you say tens of thousands, it's like over hundreds of years or something?
No, it's tens of thousands every generation back until that point.
But and then ultimately that saw what are they what's the word, transmitting?
Right, the events that took place. So, for example, when you talk about the Sinai revelation, how God spoke to them, for example, the mountain hovering over their head, all the other miracles that took place. Again, I can go in length.
Mountain hovering over their head? What's that?
That sounds
Yes,
cool.
this is in the Torah. So yeah. So what's the point?
Look, I'm curious about that story. Like,
That's like the
Torah.
only interesting thing
I'm
you've
not-
said so
I'm
far,
not-
Oriel.
Right. I'm not gonna you have to address my argument, right? I'm not here to just like tell you everything that happened in the Torah.
No,
Right?
I'm
If
just saying,
don't
do you
know-
mean the big storm on Mount Sinai in Exodus 19?
and the mountain hovering over their head? Right,
Where is that in the Torah?
It's the
Because I read the
mountain.
Torah and I did not read that part.
Right. So it's in the oral Torah, Torah Sheba Peh, right, which is part of the transmission. So
Okay,
what is your contention?
I guess like it's impossible to know that was transmitted previously, right? Because you could just have like some rabbi now saying that like, oh yeah, this flying mountain thing has been around forever, but it could have just been this generation. How do we know that it is prior to this generation if it's just oral?
Right, because if you're going to say that, for example, it wasn't tens of thousands, let's say back 3 generations ago, 1 generation ago, it entails tens of thousands of sages in one of these generations, either A, misverified the number of sages, or B, misverified the fact that they were sages, which are both irrational assumptions and improbable.
I think it's more like, okay, so a bunch of people genuinely believe something, so therefore we must believe that thing is true? Is that what you're saying? Because you at first made it seem like they all received this at the exact same moment, like they all witnessed something together,
It's a
which is
national
like
revelation.
not convincing, but is interesting. But to say that it happens generationally, not all at one point in time, just all these various people affirm that they believe that this thing occurred.
I never said the revelation happens every generation. It's the transmission of it.
Right.
Right. So again, the
So
reason why
people
we
are
can
told
affirm it-
something and they believe it.
it's not that simple, right? The reason why we can affirm it to be true is because, number one, the reliability of these transmitters, their epistemic criteria of having an observed level of righteousness and intelligence, and also the number of these sages. Because of this, it entails an improbability of fabricating the event or falling into error in its transmission.
So wouldn't
Someone's lied to you.
pastors in Christianity also meet that exact same criteria?
No, because, for example, all Christians will attest, including pastors, right, to receiving the revelation of the New Testament from the 12 apostles and Paul, right, which are 13 people. This is not a national revelation, right, nor
But
is it
there
even
are
the number.
tens of thousands of pastors who would affirm it.
That's not my argument, right? My argument isn't because, for example, millions of Orthodox Jews say this, therefore it's true, right? That would be circular. And also then any religion can just come and say that, right? Islam could say we have billions of Muslims that affirm the Quran, therefore it's true. That's not my argument, right? My argument is the testimony they are making has an improbability of fabrication or falling into error on who they're receiving it from. Okay, so I don't think I can put it into
So
premises. if
that
it's
is the
easier.
same thing, Oriel.
No, it's not the same thing. It's not, right? One
very
is
much
tens of
is.
thousands. It very much is not, right? One is tens
I
of
think it's
thousands.
really similar. I think the numbers are different because if you just go like apostolic succession, it's going to be less than 10,000.
Much less. If you go by
But
apostolic
eventually
succession,
it becomes like all the pastors, and they are all
No,
affirming this thing, but they're all idiots.
they all
right?
affirm. They all affirm to receive it from the 12 apostles and Paul, right? Where we're affirming to receive it from, based on the transmission, is tens of thousands at a
so
national
so it's
revelation.
like a fallacy of like it's an ad populum fallacy that you're doing then.
No, an ad populum fallacy would be, for example, all these thousands of people say this is true, therefore it's true. That's not my
Yeah,
claim.
you're saying
All those
on our
sages.
side more people said it was true, so it's true. That's
Yeah.
literally what you just said.
No, that's not my claim. For example, in Christianity, there's no national revelation, right? Number one, they're attesting to receiving it from 13 people.
What do you
right?
mean?
My
What
claim is
sorry, what
that-
do you mean by that?
Right. So a nationally experienced event, right? So for example, in the Torah, right, we have tens of thousands standing before Sinai that all attest to receiving the revelation, all the events that took place. Rather in Christianity, we have, for example, the apostolic tradition, or even whatever branch of Christianity.
Yeah, so
will all attest.
So
Hold
where's
on a
sorry,
second.
where's the
Will all
evidence
attest-
from all those people that witnessed the event?
Right. So the evidence is their testimony, which has an improbability of fabrication.
Yeah,
or falling into error.
okay,
That's a
no.
claim.
Those people who witnessed this event, where's their testimony or evidence?
Right. The evidence is their claim, which has an improbability of
The
fabrication. or falling
evidence
into error.
is their claim?
Their
I think
testimony.
the
Yes, it's called
improbability.
testimonial evidence.
So,
Yes.
Rabbi, let me ask you this question.
But
genuinely.
everything we get is by testimonial evidence. Hope you know
Yeah,
that.
let me ask you this really quick, and this is just like a really honest question.
Yeah, sure.
Is there a chance, and this is just like a crazy notion, but is there a chance that people wrote down this story in the book that is now called the Torah, and that story became popular in a culture, and then there was a bunch of people who perpetuated that story, but it did start in just one, like, sort of like some scriptures,
Right.
which were like
Right.
Torah.
So if you're asking me, is it possible? Yes, anything is possible, right? It's
right.
possible right now we're in a giant big brain. It's possible right now that really God does exist, that we're in 3 universes. Like, anything is possible, right?
Mhm.
But we don't go by possibility. We go by probability and evidence. Right? And the probability of tens of thousands of sages
Yeah.
in one of these generations
A
misverifying
claim
the
is
number
an
of sages.
evidence.
Hold on 1 second. Testimonial evidence is evidence.
A
and
you
everything-
said the evidence is their claim.
No,
That's a quote from you.
Right, the testimony. Do you know what a testimony is?
No, me no know a testimony. It's too many
I can
syllables.
tell.
But
everything we get is
Oriel,
everything we get is by testimonial evidence. This
No.
is true, right? Even for example, when we have expert testimony, right? What we will have is people will have a certain standard of reliability, right? You bring in a doctor to the courtroom, they're going to attest on, for example, what happened in the event and what they took place, and based on their criteria, based on their standard of reliability. For example, their PhD, or
that's
their
not how it
experience.
works, Oriel.
So it is.
We don't get everything
right?
from testimony.
Yes, we do.
That would mean that there's no such thing as like empirical evidence. That would make no sense whatsoever.
Right, so
If
there
if
is
if our
empirical
only evidence, like if our only evidence was testimony, then our only way to determine whether or not there is cancer would be whether or not a doctor just decided to say that we have cancer or not. What do you mean? We have ways to observe certain phenomena. We can test for cancer. We can do blood tests. We can look for a tumor on scans. We don't just go off of the testimony of the physicians. We have
Right, so
empirical evidence to present to support claims that are made.
Right, so I agree with you. Empirical evidence exists. Right, I'm not denying this. However, what I'm saying is that even when a doctor, right, even will say that you have cancer, right, or God forbid, someone is diagnosed with that, right, they're attesting to observing a certain phenomena.
But you're
How
gonna
you
want
know-
evidence.
Again, hold on 1 second. How you know what they're attesting to is true is by their standard of reliability, right?
No,
Again,
it's
when
by
you go
the
to
evidence,
Okay,
Oriel.
Okay, so hold on 1 second. So let me ask you then. Why do you go to, for example, a physician to be diagnosed about a case and not, for example, a crackhead on the street? Why?
Because
Based on what?
physicians have access to instruments that can make measurements to determine whether or not we have certain conditions.
Wait, it's not. Wait, so if a crackhead
If
was
doctors
given
had
some information,
no
would you trust
equipment, if doctors
him?
had
Hold on, If a crackhead
no,
had the same equipment, if a crackhead had the same equipment, would you trust him?
would they also have like certification to use that equipment?
Thank you. The
By the way,
certification gives them reliability.
Rabbi.
Like what?
We're talking. We're these things are not like apples to
You're trying to
apples.
get around. You're trying to get
No,
around.
we're
the epistemic
talking
criteria.
about like real educated people that are talking about real things that are verifiable, right?
Thank
So
you.
like
Thank
the
you.
doctor can say, hey, you have cancer, and he can actually show you that with those instruments, with technology, and because like this guy's a scientist of some kind. You're saying that these sages, quote unquote, which are really just like myth myth people, the leaders of a cult.
This is you making an assumption. So
I'm assuming that they're leaders of a cult who can't verify a goddamn fucking thing, right? They can't verify literally anything. All they're doing is perpetuating a cult by claiming something happened way back in the day, the way the pastors and the imams do it.
That's
and
not the
all
argument.
it is something that's written down in a book. It's nothing like a doctor or any kind of scientist that can actually show us evidence and real things beyond just their opinions, right?
Evidence.
We can see these things to be true. They can show us these things to be true.
Right, it's already explained this, right? The national testimony is sufficient evidence because it has an improbability of fabrication.
It doesn't. It doesn't. You keep saying that. That's not true. That's not true. Prove that it's an improbability. You can't.
If you move me one more time, I'm not going to engage, okay?
Okay, good.
Don't
Bye.
be disrespectful. And, okay, so
as if you're going to leave. Give me a break.
Smartest atheist.
He's going to appeal to authority now. This is
All right, I'll try one more time and see if I can speak. Again, if you are going to say that it's a cult, right?
Yes.
Okay, Joshua did that one. That's pretty good.
Or that it was all made up. You are making an irrational assumption, right? Because you are saying that tens of thousands of reliable sages either A. So again, let me finish. False. Let me finish. Again.
You're saying something that's not true.
So what is your epistemology?
Why would they be? Why would we consider them reliable? They said that a god did a big storm on a mountain and apparently made the mountain float, which isn't even in the book, but came down, had lunch with 70 elders, stood on a emerald stone, and you're saying that these are reliable people?
Right. It's because of their epistemological criteria, right? So because their epistemological criteria is being observed to have an extremely high level of intelligence, as well as righteousness, right? We affirm their reliability, right? So it's not just because 10,000 people are saying this, right?
So righteousness is made up, and I doubt they're very smart.
So if you are going to say that they were not righteous, you are saying that tens of thousands of sages in one of these
I don't care about righteous. That's just a made-up category.
Again,
righteousness is nothing, Rabbi. Righteousness is nothing. Don't use that word because it doesn't mean anything to normal people in the real world.
And you can't trust anyone in your life. You made an irrational.
No, has anyone ever been like, oh, I like my family doctor, he's so righteous? Unless they're like a surfer that are like,
righteous, dude.
That's not what we mean.
Not real words that real people use.
Righteous.
That's not what we mean by righteous, right? We mean, for example, like if your doctor was known to lie a lot, right? This is just an example, right? Make up things, make up diagnoses, right? You probably wouldn't trust him, right? Because then if he's known to have that reputation, what he's telling you can very much likely be a lie, right? But if a doctor has a reputation of making accurate diagnosis, right, and telling the truth, then you're going to trust him because you've observed him to be a good person. Now, what I mean by good person is trustworthy, right? So again, I'm not saying like righteous, like.
Yeah, so I don't know who you're talking about when it comes to these sages, and I don't know why I would believe that any of them are reliable or smart or anything that you're saying. This is all just like assertions with no evidence.
How do we know that the people who said they're righteous are righteous?
What like Robot Goat suggested, which I think is a great point, is that Catholicism has the like apostolic priestal or papal succession of some kind, right? Those guys are all supposed to be reliable and honest and all that shit, and they're claiming that the Holy Spirit is telling them that evolution is true now. And so, do you believe them too? And then do you believe the Muslim version of that and the Orthodox version of that, and then a bunch of random pastors in mega churches that are claiming the same thing? You know, their followers say they're reliable too, Rabbi. Right, so now I can't trust when somebody claims that their cult leaders are reliable. So we need more than just the testimony. I'm sorry.
Okay, so can I respond or not?
Yep, I think so.
Okay, so I'm just going to say, if you beat me one more time, I'm just not going to engage, okay?
Aw.
Okay, have a good day. Smartest atheist. Smartest atheist that can engage with a theist. Have a good one.
He said that like 20 mutes ago. The problem was he just kept trying to talk the entire time you were. I was there warring on the mute button with him the entire time you were talking.
He's not a very nice guy.
No, he's not. Not very
He's a little bit
righteous, I'd
annoying.
say. Thank you for the
No.
little octopus on my head. Paradox, thank you. Yeah, Joel, I saw people in chat saying that he had been on yours, and I thought I recognized him, but I didn't know if it was from mine or from when I was like...
You know he's been on yours too, right?
I thought he had, because I remembered that exact same argument.
Yeah.
But
I remember him
he
coming up on yours.
said he hadn't.
Oh, he's lying.
But he's so
I remember
righteous.
I remember him being on yours, and I was like, oh my goodness, I know what he's referencing, because the Dubalarabadi actually says this will be remembered as the thing that, you know, people will tell this story, and this will be the thing that proves that this happened. And it was like whatever miracles and whatever he's describing. And I was just like, yeah, but that's just like in a book. So when he came up on mine, I really wanted to like get into it, and it ended up being like that, pretty contentious.
Yeah.
It's just like this bold assertion with no reason to believe it. But
Did you see what I got at Ren Fair today?
no. Oh my goodness, what is it?
His name is Marshall. He's a little dragon.
Is it from something or?
I know, he's just a little guy. They were making them in the booth. These are like hand sewn.
That's handmade on site. Well, that's adorable.
Isn't it so cute? And I looked at him like his name is Marshall. I don't know why that's what came to mind.
It just jumped right out at you. It named itself.
Yes. And Joshua very correctly observed that if I pick up a stuffed animal and hold it for too long, I would feel sad if I put it down and walked away, so I'm just inevitably going to get it. And that's very true about me. That's why I have so many stuffed
You got a big
animals.
heart for stuffies.
And in general, it's why my life expectancy is like 40.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Oh, there's a bug on my water cup. It was on the outside, thankfully, because I had it covered with a coaster. Which, this is a 16-ounce cup, by the way. Everyone.
Looks like a shot glass.
Fuck you!
Jeez.
And stay out, bitch. Yeah, that's fair. Let's see if this person loads in. It is a good-sized cup, all right? All right. Welcome in, Reflect King. Can I get your name, your age, and your pronouns?
Sure. Name is... Oh, my name you said? Did you say my name?
Yes.
Oh, Reflect. And my age is 41. And I'm a he and a him.
Wonderful, Reflect. What's your religion or lack thereof?
So I'm a theist. I believe that there is a God. God exists because of the impossibility of the contrary. The contrary is a contradiction. So I don't accept that that atheism is contradictory, which I came to prove today.
Typically when people say impossibility of the contrary, they're about to run tag. Is that what you're about to do?
Nope.
Interesting. All right. I do have a super chat to read real quick, though. Boogie the Cat says, my cup is a normal size. It's just cold in there. It is a normal... It holds 16 ounces. I measured it out. So, Reflect, the impossibility of the contrary. It's interesting because that seems to suggest that there is only one, like, contradictory viewpoint to yours, when in fact there would be an infinite possibility, like a possibly infinite number of contradictory worldviews to the one that you're about to present to me. So how can you disprove every single one of that possibly infinite number of worldviews?
Well, the contrary to theism is atheism. So I would say what I'm about to present is actually showcasing that atheism is contradictory. And because it's contradictory, it's not something that we should hold to unless we want to, just be hypocritical and have cognitive dissonance. That's, an option too. But to conclude that God actually exists by way of the syllogism, which is very simple, and hold the belief that God does not exist would be problematic.
Okay, before we get to that syllogism, is there a particular God that you believe in?
The Almighty God, a God that's omniscient, a God that is all-knowing, a God that is not restricted by whatever He created. So I believe that this God is a creating God. So yeah.
Okay, so an all-knowing, all-powerful. Would you also say omnibenevolent? Are you going tri-omni?
No.
Okay, so not all
I'm
good.
not even too sure. Yeah, I don't think all good really makes sense anyway, because if God is not restricted by what He created moral frameworks. God is not a part of a moral framework, so He can't be good or bad. It's just like a category error. That's what I would say.
Wouldn't you also say that He would have had to create logic?
Would I say that He had to create logic? I would say that He created everything. So if logic is a part of everything, then yeah.
So He would not be bound by logic.
Well, God is not bound by time. Logic is all based upon time. Time is a major factor in contradictions and so forth.
God is not bound by logic.
God is not bound by time. He's not bound by anything He created, and that would include.
So if God created logic, and God is not bound by what He's created, then God is not bound by logic.
I'm not sure, because I think the way that can be understood can have some negative connotations, which I would not accept. So that's why I'm not quick to say yes.
Reflect. You can't just say, You can't say, well, that would make my argument look bad, so I disagree. That's the conclusion of your argument. If you say that God created everything, God created logic, and God is not bound by what He created, then God would not be bound by logic.
Well, if God can create things out of nothing, if He can say something will be and it is that logical? No, it's not. It's not. You can't get something, quote unquote, from nothing, right? So God He creates things, He instantiates things, He puts things into motion, He takes things out of existence. So
it seems like we have a problem with your argument right there, because you've contradicted yourself.
I haven't made the argument yet.
Yeah, but you've said contradictory things.
Yeah, but like I said, God is not bound by time. Because God is not bound by time, contradictions have to do with time. If time is out of the window, then anything can happen, because somebody standing and sitting.
Wait, why do contradictions have to do? Oh, because you're just saying a contradiction would have to occur at the same time?
Exactly.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it's Leibniz law.
Okay, so
same time, same state or same.
So God, therefore, is not a part of time or logic.
He's not restricted by, bound by, or subject to time.
Okay, so God has never existed in reality because there is time in reality, and God is illogical because He is not bound by logic. So God doesn't exist and is illogical. I would agree.
I don't agree with that sentiment. I don't agree with that description either.
Unfortunately, it's just a conclusion drawn by the premises you've given me.
It's not. I didn't give you any premises yet. So I haven't given the argument.
You did give me a premise because you said that God is not bound by anything that He creates. And you gave me the premise that God created logic and that God is not bound by time. Those are all premises.
Maybe I gave you some propositions, but I was not presenting a syllogism. So I was just giving you some claims that were propositional. Sure, yeah, I agree. But I didn't give you my argument. My argument would be in a syllogistic format, which would have a certain structure and so forth, like modus tollens, modus ponens. So if you want to hear the syllogism, I can provide it.
Yeah, go ahead and modus your ponens.
Cool. Okay. So the first premise, it's really simple. 2 premises, 1 conclusion. Anything which can be conceived of exists. Premise 2, God is conceivable. Conclusion, therefore God exists. And premise 1 is true. Premise 2 is true.
You
therefore
have
the
to,
conclusion is true.
You're conflating the idea of existence.
How so?
Because things can exist conceptually, but not exist materially.
Well, that's just your presupposition. That's
just true. I can conceive of a purple unicorn in this room right now. That does not mean that a purple unicorn in this room right now actually exists in reality.
Well,
it exists conceptually. You can say that God exists conceptually, sure, but that doesn't mean that God exists in reality.
Well, that's the problem with your understanding, is that there is an external world. There is something external to yourself. That's just an assumption. That's not something that you can actually prove. Right? It's just
Reflect
it's just
hearts.
assumed.
If we get back to solipsism, then there's nothing that we can be like. We can't solve solipsism right here on a fucking TikTok live. We have to go off of sensory data. We have to go off of what we can perceive. But the idea that anything that can be conceived of exists in reality is just not true. Because I can conceive of like a 2-foot tall little man doing a tap dance in my hands right now. Is there a 2-foot tall little man doing a tap dance in my hands right now?
Well, that's not my conception. It's your conception. That's why it's such a strong
But does that make it
argument, because it's
real?
against. That's the problem. The problem is that it's your worldview, not my worldview. So because it is a argument that is internal
I
critique.
dropped him. Oh, I dropped him.
No,
Fuck,
I'm
I'm
still
sorry,
here.
guys. No, not you, the little tap dancing guy. I dropped him.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, look,
Oh
this
my
is just
god,
actually,
he doesn't have insurance. Oh fuck, reflect. This is gonna devastate.
Look, I know it sucks because this is internal critique on your worldview, and it just exposes the fact that your worldview doesn't have an ability to disambiguate between an external world and an internal world. It doesn't have a way to do that. So that's why you're committed to the reality that everything that you are experiencing is just a mental projection. That's really all it is. And you have no way to disambiguate. So
Okay, so
really the
you're
problem.
trying to appeal to solipsism now. That's gonna again get us nowhere, because I could just say that you're not actually even making that argument right now. You're just a brain in a jar thinking that you're making that argument. We'll get back to just this infinite back and forth of like, well, none of this is real. That's completely useless. Let's stick to what you've told me, which is anything that can be conceived of exists. Now, again, when we're talking about existence, there's a difference in existing conceptually and existing materially or in reality.
That's an assumption. Wouldn't you agree that you have to demonstrate
not
that
an
before you can say
assumption.
it is? How can you prove that?
I demonstrated it by showing that I can conceive of a little tap dancing guy. This is actually his son. This is little tap dancing guy's son now. He's only 1 foot tall, doing a little tap dance in my hands. That does not mean that he actually exists. And so
if you conceived of
oh, fuck!
Yeah, so if you conceived of it, that means it exists because it is your subjective perspective.
Oh, I dropped
It's not my problem, because this is the limitations of atheism. It restricts you and commits you to these things like idealism.
I'm just going through this whole family. Fuck.
Like, you've been in a dream before, right? You thought all of your experiences were real in a
Do
dream.
you not know when
no different
to stop?
than anything
You
else.
just killed 2 little men that were dancing.
One was just a boy.
They're at least their legs are broken.
He was just a boy.
But
Yeah,
I
I
really
mean,
like this argument because I've just conceived that atheism is true.
Yeah,
Oh.
So you are contending with one of the premises then, yes?
No, I'm agreeing with all your premises. I'm saying atheism is true is what I conceived, and that is true, and now there is no God because atheism is true.
Wait a second. What's that
That was
conception?
pretty easy.
What are you conceiving of?
I've conceived that atheism is true.
And atheism is what? Is a proposition, or is a stance on what? What proposition?
That there is no God.
So
I believe that there is no God is true.
So in order to reject this quote unquote God, you had to conceive of it, didn't you? You're still stuck.
No, I'm saying
No,
no God exists.
Yeah, you conceive of
nothing
the
that I'm
lack of a
conceiving
God.
of.
You
Yeah, I'm
conceived
conceiving
of
that the
something,
world doesn't have a God.
and you had to conceive of that something in order to reject it. You still
No,
conceived of
I'm
it.
not conceiving of a God.
You didn't get around it.
I'm
didn't work.
conceiving that there is no God. So it's like I'm conceiving that there's nothing there when it comes to any sort of God.
Ooh, Mezzo put it a better way.
There's nothing
just conceive
there.
of a godless universe.
Yeah, there's a godless universe. That means you had to conceive of a God in order to reject that God. It's still a problem.
No.
It still commits you to
No.
this syllogism being true.
Well,
Okay.
I can say this. I've conceived of a concept, a word, an idea that is God. I don't really conceive of the actual God, but what I'm really conceiving of is the godless universe. That there is none of whatever the God would be.
So what does that mean if it has no semantic content? Then that means it's nothing, and you're conceiving of nothing not existing. Does that make sense?
Well, what ends up happening, Reflect, is that you can conceive of a world where there is a God, and I'm going to conceive of the exact opposite world. And if both of those worlds are true, what do we do?
Well, you still had to conceive of a God to reject it, so you
Ooh,
still are
ooh,
stuck
ooh,
with the
ooh.
problem.
I'm gonna conceive of a tri-omni God, and then I'm gonna conceive of a God pew pew, and I'm gonna pew pew him right between the eyes, and I'm gonna conceive of him dying on the spot. So now God did exist, and I killed him.
So you conceived of an ultimate being that is ultimately powerful, that was overpowered. Does that make sense? That's a contradiction. You can't conceive of contradiction.
But
if
I
you can
conceived
conceive
of
a
it,
contradiction,
so it must
then-
be real.
What do you
You
mean? There's a
can't-
new rule in town,
one
folks.
thing-
You
the
can't
one thing
conceive
you-
of a contradiction.
Yeah, the one thing you can't conceive of. That's why the argument
Well,
is
there
so
goes my
strong, because
conception of a married
anything-
bachelor.
Anything which can be conceived of exists. That's the whole point. It
Well,
proves
I
that you can't
conceive of this
of
God that is
contradiction.
all powerful, and
You guys are
he's
not doing
like
that well.
he's like, well, it's not even overpowering. He wanted it. He's like, I'm tired of this shit, and so he let me kill him.
Well, in your conception, it's
Wait,
still a
what
good
do you
God.
think? What's
No,
the
it's a
word
dead
conceive?
God. It's a dead body of a God now. It's God's
Is
dead
it a
body
God?
with a hole
Is it
between
a-
the eyes. He can't do
Is it a
anything.
God? Is it a God though?
What do you mean by
It's
conceived?
a corpse.
Thank you. Thank you.
What do you mean by conceived of?
Conceived of meaning that it is coherent. And if something is coherent, then you can conceive of it. It is something that you can hold within your mind.
No. Like, what do you mean by conceiving of it? Just to be really, really clear.
Yeah, I just explained it. That is something which is coherent.
Then I don't think you can conceive of God, because every God idea that I've ever heard of being conceived is incoherent.
What's the contradiction?
It just like people just don't know what God is. His ways are higher. We cannot understand the God. Don't you think that's true?
That's not my question. What you said, you can't cohere of it, which means it would be
I
contradictory.
said
That's-
conceive. You gotta.
Oh
pay
no,
attention.
he both
Conceive
is
means
and isn't
coherence.
bound by logic and time. Didn't you hear that, Joel?
I didn't say that.
Conceive isn't coherence. Those aren't the same word.
What do you think it means then?
To
I would love
conceive
to
is
hear
to like
your-
imagine, to like be able to think of it in your mind, to sort of conjure it up in your mind.
Yeah. And do you think that that is much different than coherence?
I think
Yes.
that if you were going to argue that you can conceive of something, it would be something that you could like understand. You could imagine in a to conceive of it, to imagine it in a maybe not fully realize it. You maybe not have to fully realize it, but I think if you were going to conceive God, you should be able to imagine something coherent.
Yeah. So then
And you
I don't think
can't.
we have then we don't
You
have a
can't.
problem. Then.
But you can't.
What do you mean? What do you mean you can't?
Well, God is not coherent.
So what are you rejecting then? You're rejecting something that's
I'm
not
rejecting that you
coherent?
can conceive of God.
Okay, well, I disagree with you because you're not me. So I can conceive of a God. And if you can say that you can
I disagree.
conceive
Explain
of
the
a
God. You've explained the God, and it better be coherent, or you haven't conceived of the God.
Yeah. I
Is
mean,
it
if
anything
you
like
can
this
say-
tap dancing widow that I have in my hand?
Don't drop it.
Yeah, please don't drop it. We want you to stay sane
Tap
today.
dancing widow? She's been through enough.
All of the subjective beings
I'm gonna gently put her down.
with their imaginary friends
don't drop me. I'm tapping. I'm tapping, goat.
and your imaginary world. You're imagining what you're doing right now. It's just
Okay,
a
and your
mental
God is in
projection.
your imaginary world.
Then I guess we are both on the same boat, aren't we?
Mine's a lot more interesting. Mine's got a family drama going on. Yours just has a guy who
Actually-
likes to like kill babies.
Actually, the funny thing is you don't realize that you just conceded to my argument.
If it's a matter of like you
Reflect.
conceiving of a God and then the God being real in your little mind and in your worldview, that's great. And then over here in my worldview, the godless world exists, and that's great. That's also true. And then in Robot Goat's worldview, the dead God that they killed exists, and the sweet little tap dancing widow who's desperate on the desk, those things exist. And so we all have our own little realities, and they're all true to us. That's
So
fine.
then what you should do is you should not suffer from cognitive dissonance. You should accept that the conclusion is true, and therefore your beliefs should adjust
Reflect-
and be in accordance
Reflect.
with reality.
Your argument, when you reduce it down, is I believe God exists, therefore he must. That is not compelling.
No, not at all. Not at all.
No,
That
the
is
reality
what it
that
boils down
everybody-
to.
Well, you're right about
You're just
one
saying
thing.
the reality is solipsism, right?
You're right about one thing. I definitely didn't address the prompt, which is, can you convert this atheist? Probably not, because I would say that if you don't have any experience with God, then of course you're going to say, well, where is he?
Well,
don't
Joel
see
and I
God.
were
He
both
doesn't
just in
exist."
your mind.
Christians.
So-
God. Joel and I are both former Christians. I can't believe I called you God.
I can see it. But
did you experience
nobody
God?
has experience
Incoherently.
with God 'cause he's made up.
That's exactly my point. Because you haven't experienced God, of course you're going to come to that conclusion.
Because he's made up.
Yeah, 90% of the world has experienced God.
I
and
thought
that's
that
the
I
sad
had.
part. You thought, but you.
I
weren't
thought that I had
obviously in the right
experienced God.
space.
But I had not experienced God because God not real.
And what does that tell you? That tells you that of course you're going to come to that conclusion until you experience him. That's why revelation is so important.
Okay,
If you're
but
not
Reflect,
if
this
you're
is
being
a little
revealed
bit. Can I slow you down for a second? Because like
yeah, sure.
you made this, you did this syllogism that's nonsense, that's basically saying that everybody has their own reality and it's true to them, so anything you can think of is true but just to you and not in the real world. And then you just like switched it to being that there is an actual God in the real world and we just have to experience it. And that seems like you're kind of jumping all over the place, and it isn't convincing, but I don't know what you're trying to do with this.
I'll tell you. It's because you don't see my tactics. My tactics are very, very, very.
Because they're only conceived in your mind.
No, my tactics.
They don't actually exist.
Are very sly, and I know how to get to you in a way that you seem confused. And look, the confusion is because
if you are
this
planning on
syllogism holds
confusing,
true.
yes, you're nailing
The syllogism
it,
holds
Doing
true
so
in
good.
the syllogism holds true in your worldview. In my worldview, it makes more sense to not accept this. But in your worldview, you have to accept it. You're committed to it.
That's
And
not
that's
true.
the problem.
That's not true.
Why would we have to commit
It
to
is
the
true.
idea that anything that anyone can think of must exist in reality?
Because you have no way to disambiguate between an external world and an internal world, a subjective world, and no evidence to an objective world.
Well, what about like
Because
well, hold on, reflect.
because you're
Can
committed
we
to
answer
that.
that?
No
what about
way.
What about an intersubjective world?
You're a subjective being. How can a subjective being access the objective reality? They're just subjective beings.
Like what if we used like intersubjective, like this intersubjective thing where like robot goat and I bounce things off each other. We go, did you smell that? And so that like if we collectively all
P.U.
experience similar things and we're able to measure things using the scientific method, we can come to an understanding of what is potentially objective in the world.
But what does that just tell you? All you did was demonstrate that your interlocutor, myself, could be mental projections. And all of these experiences, just like being in a dream,
reflect.
just
You
like
don't
hallucinating.
solve solipsism by doing a silly syllogism.
Oh,
Right?
we do in our
No, you
world.
don't.
We
No,
do.
you don't.
No one
We
can
absolutely
solve
do.
solipsism.
That's where you're wrong.
All
You
do is
think you've
appeal-
solved solipsism, but you're actually just a brain in a jar who never actually solved solipsism.
You know why you
I'll
think
give you-
you
I'll
solve
give you an example.
solipsism? Reflect is because somebody said and into your ears with sound waves, this is how you solve solipsism, and you
No one
read
said that
maybe
to
in
me.
a book that was written down, and you read with your eyes and
This
touched it with your
argument is
hands.
extremely unique, and it's only from me. No one's ever used it before. This is a
No
very
one's
unique argument.
ever used this.
Yes,
I wonder
trust me.
why.
Trust me. And our worldview, yes, we can solve solipsism because of the fact that, and I'll give you an example. You have a two-dimensional creature and a three-dimensional creator.
Well, wait.
Right.
How do you know that? How do you know that?
I'm giving you an analogy.
How
so
do you
that
know?
But how do you
about
know?
dimensions? How do
What
you
do you
know
mean?
about dimensions?
What do you mean? How do I know?
How do you observe the
understand
dimensions?
I observe it because I have epistemic access to the objective world. You don't. There's a difference.
You don't have access to that. You're
I do.
lying.
I'm going to explain to you how. So a two-dimensional creature and a three-dimensional creature. Two-dimensional creature can only travel within that plane, length and width. A three-dimensional creature, quote unquote, enters into that two-dimensional space, right? They have a crosshair. It's like a slit. What they can see is something
Whoa,
popped
don't
into
say
existence.
slit.
I like it.
Okay. Well, something
I
popped
know
into
you do.
existence. It grew in size, it shrank, and then it disappeared.
I've been
Now
there. I've been there.
that two-dimensional creature will think to itself, wow, what an amazing event. I just saw a miracle. Something just popped in and it popped out. It would have no way to determine whether or not that was a real experience, not a real experience, a three-dimensional quote-unquote creature, unless it is revealed to from outside of its frame. It has to be revealed to. Information has to be obtained from outside of the subjective frame. That's the only way you can gain epistemic access to something outside of a subject, by something that is objective outside of it. So God is necessary in that sense in order for us to know what's outside of our subjective frame. That's why it's so important. If you're a theist, you have that epistemic
but you're
access
just claiming it
to objectivity.
You're perceiving that you've been given this revelation with your own senses, with your body, your mind, which you cannot rely on if there is the problem of solipsism. So again, you cannot solve solipsism.
If that were my worldview, I would agree with you, but that's not my worldview. My worldview,
but just
is
The
that
one
we
you
have-
just
so what if I
presented
said
is
this?
not your worldview?
No, my worldview is that
turns
we have,
out
we have
that there's
non-inferential.
hold on. Turns out that there's a floating turquoise invisible hamster that talks that has revealed objective reality to me too.
Okay,
Right? It's
and
just an
that's great for
assertion,
you.
right? It sounds stupid.
Well, only because I know you're lying to me, I wouldn't agree with you, and I
You
wouldn't accept it.
couldn't know that.
I know because of the veracity that you have within this conversation. I know that you have a motive, and your motive is going to present.
We just
the-
got a great. Hold on.
Of course.
We just got a great super chat because Reflect. Are you aware that many people that generally time is also considered to be dimensional?
Time is dimensional. Yeah, sure.
So if God is atemporal, then he is the lower dimensional creature because he exists
that make
outside of
sense?
that dimension of time.
I didn't say outside of. I said he's not restricted by or bound by. Outside of is a spatial notion, and God is not spatial, so that doesn't make sense. So that just doesn't work. But I want to actually
Time
address
is
the
a
point.
spatial notion.
Yeah, I want to actually address the point about your inferences, which you were alluding to. You were saying that, you have to access that revelation through inference and experience and so forth, which is actually not our worldview. Our worldview is that we have two different forms of revelation. One is an internal form called ilham, and the second form is called wahi. That ilham, that internal revelation, is something which is non-inferential. That means you don't have to go through certain experiences and through time. That's something that's inscribed upon you before you even existed.
You wouldn't be able
have
to
that
acknowledge
signature.
it being inscribed upon you without your experiences.
No, that's not true. I said it was non-inferential. So it's not
No.
something you have to experience. It's not
You
something you have to experience in this four-dimensional world.
yeah,
Because
so
it's inscribed upon you before you come into
yeah,
existence.
but Reflect, you would not be
in
able
this
to
world.
acknowledge it being inscribed upon you if not through your own subjective experience.
Your
You could
subjective-
say that
your-
it's there, but in order to acknowledge it, in order to comprehend it, you must use your senses.
That's not true. How do you explain instincts? Like a child knows how to suckle as soon as it comes out of the womb without having any experience of it, because it has been inscribed upon that child. That's why God makes sense of instincts as well. Instincts are denoting actually an intelligence and God and life and so forth. So it actually makes perfect sense to have a knowledge giver that's pre-inference. That's
Reflecting is not how
non-inferential.
instinctual behavior works.
I feel like this is just God of the Gapes, and you really can't show anything. It's just like you're going, we solved this by positing God, but you haven't really.
Yeah, I mean, no
just a
one's ever
claim.
solved it but me. I'm the first one to do
No,
it.
you haven't solved it. It's just a claim, buddy.
You guys heard
There's
it
no
here.
evidence for your
Reflect
claim.
King on TikTok, through his experiences, has solved solipsism and has access to objective reality in which there is and isn't a god. There is also a dead god, and there is a grieving tap dancing widow, and a turquoise space hamster.
I
Only in
would
your
love,
worldview.
Reflect, I would love
Only
if
in
it
your
were
worldview.
true. Genuinely, I would love that it were true. That right now, solipsism is true, and you are the only brain in the vat, and all of this, these like me, robot goat, all the text going by, that's all just your imagination. And
Well,
you're
I'm conceiving of that
solving
world.
solipsism. You're solving solipsism for yourself and nobody else. That would be hilarious.
Look, I've run the argument on literally every A-class, A-tier TikToker.
Then why'd you bring it here?
I've run it on what's his name, Dr. Blitz. He couldn't stand up to it. I've run
I'm
it on
sure he
Monkey Boy.
laughed
I've
you
run it
out
on
of
all
his
these guys.
fucking live.
No, he actually gaffed so many times it was hilarious. But really, none of you guys
Have
can
I?
handle it.
Have we? I just want to see your standard for what that is. How have we held up, me and Joel, Dream Team?
I don't think you gaffed. I think you just don't realize your hidden assumptions that have to be really cashed out. And in order to really understand the argument in its depth, you have to actually challenge your assumptions. Challenge your there is objective reality. I do have epistemic access to the objective world. You have to challenge those things, and that's exactly what this syllogism exposes. It exposes your worldview for what it is, and it forces you to have to rethink things, which is good because it's all about reflection.
I think genuinely you're like, especially like, look at your picture. You've really inflated yourself to all sorts of crazy heights that are just not realistic. Reflect.
And this just a random fun fact that I'm sharing just for chat, for no one in particular, but you should not decrease the dosage of any sort of medication without express permission from your doctor. Like that is something that you definitely need to. I'm just sharing this as like a PSA for chat, not about anyone in particular. But if you are planning to reduce the dosage of any medication, make sure that you have approval from a medical professional. Just a good rule of thumb, right?
I agree.
Yeah.
But under my worldview, that would be great advice. Under your worldview, well, it doesn't matter anyway because, everything is just a mental projection. It's a dream. It's a hallucination. You have no way to tell whether it is or isn't.
Okay,
And
just
you
because
have
we
a
can't
problem.
solve the problem of solipsism doesn't mean that we believe that nothing is real.
Well, what it forces you to accept is that either absolutely everything that is coherent is real or absolutely nothing is real. You either come to one conclusion or the other. And
Is
you
it-
already admitted
Is
in the
it
beginning that
coherent for
something
there
is
to
real.
be an invisible unicorn in the room with me right now?
Under your worldview, yeah. Yeah.
So does
That's
that
why I
mean
said
that
it's internal
so
critique.
does that mean that it is true that unicorn exists?
In your worldview, yeah. Yes, it exists.
So if you're saying that God exists and this unicorn exists, then yeah, that makes sense, because two things that just don't exist, you can say are true because of your fucking access to a dimension that we just haven't conceived of yet because it's not inscribed on our hearts, because like babies know how to suck on a tit, so that must mean that God is inscribing wisdom on everyone's hearts.
That's right. Look, hey, the conclusion, therefore, God exists, you have to accept it. It is just the reality.
I
of
will
the
say
logical
God
norms.
exists conceptually, but
Worldview.
not in reality.
You just have to
reflect.
present
Honestly, we don't have to accept anything you've said. Nothing that you've said. Listen. Nothing that you said explains anything, predicts anything, or makes our lives better or worse in any way. You're not doing anything. It's just making a claim and positing something that has no evidence.
It's not my job to change your mind. It's my job just to present to you
No,
the
you're
reality,
saying nothing. You're
the
saying nothing because
contradictions
honestly,
of your worldview.
because
That's
honestly, the quote unquote solve could be literally anything. It could even be the universe itself. Why not? Right? We could have reality and our senses be like on the nose. So we can't just conceive of things, but what we actually can measure empirically is what is reality. That could be the case.
I'm
don't know
conceiving of a really wet box right now.
Do you think that
that's personal.
do you think that something that could be is, or do you think that something that could be maybe?
Yeah, the latter.
Okay, so if it may be, then that tells you that the epistemic tool that you are using to access that truth, to come to that conclusion that it may be, that claim itself is just fallacious. It's problematic. It's a tool that cannot work because it cannot give you
what
knowledge.
are you talking about? See,
about
you're
the
not
reality.
saying anything.
That
It cannot give
makes
you
no
knowledge.
sense.
We don't
And what's
have
so
knowledge.
frustrating is you think that you're the most brilliant person ever, and you're completely spouting nonsense. And it's so frustrating to
What's the
talk to
nonsense?
people like you who are just like, well, actually, I'm the smartest person ever, and I've solved this thing that nobody else can solve because anything that I believe must be true.
We
No,
don't.
look, your tools don't give you knowledge. That's a problem.
Reflect. We don't come to knowledge through our imaginations.
And that's your claim. But the problem is you're going to have to prove that. You're going to have to present it, demonstrate it. If you can demonstrate
No, you
knowledge
demonstrate.
without,
You demonstrate your God first.
I have a question
yeah,
if I can real quick. I must have missed. So like reflect when Robot Goat said there's like could there be an invisible pink unicorn in the room? You kept going like in your worldview, yeah. But is that in your worldview, is there one?
well, my worldview doesn't hold to certain assumptions, and so of course
In
not.
your world, there's not a pink unicorn in the room with me right now.
In my worldview, no, of course not, because I don't hold to certain assumptions.
But how do you know that?
Because I know that I don't hold to those assumptions. I mean, that's not hard to answer.
Yeah, so I don't hold to the
Just
assumption that a
because you
God
don't-
exists.
What do you mean you
No,
don't hold to what assumption that unicorns exist?
No, I don't hold to the assumptions that I don't have a way to disambiguate between an external world and
Right.
a subjective world. I know I have access. Because you don't have access, you can only assume that this objective
Oh,
world
yeah, I don't know
exists.
if you...
that's
I think you're in here,
external
Mezzo, but he's the only person in existence who's ever solved solipsism.
But that's what I'm trying to see. So how do you, like, in your view, there is a God who could make a pink unicorn be in the room with me right now, right? They have the power to do that?
He has the power to do that, sure.
Interesting. So how do you know he didn't?
How do I know? Well,
Like, it's
only
possible
know
he did and maybe he didn't, right?
I only know what God has shown and revealed, and what God has shown
Has he
and
revealed to you whether or not there is a unicorn in the room with me right now?
No, not today.
So it's
Not
a
today.
maybe for you.
About the fact or the non-fact of whether or not there's a purple unicorn in your room. Yeah, I don't have access to that because I'm not in your room.
So in your worldview, the answer is maybe.
Wait, so what about the little
so-
tap dancing family that I was holding?
In
Those are all
my world,
maybes.
no, I can trust what God has told me I can trust. God has told me I can trust my senses. God has told me that I can trust to a certain degree. These are three different
Can I
levels.
ask how he tells you that?
Sure.
Like, is it
in
an
his book.
audible thing or from reading it?
Oh, the book that
It's
you have to
two-
read
it's-
with your eyes?
It's two forms. It's like I told you, there's two forms. There's an
Which
internal
book,
form and there's
sorry,
an
which
external
book
form.
says, "Hey, I'm God. Dear reflect, you can trust your senses."
Yeah, so he calls it Haqqul Yaqeen, Ilmul Yaqeen, and Ainul Yaqeen in the book,
What-
right?
which
And
book?
those are the three.
What
three
book?
What
different
book are you
forms.
talking about?
Oh, this is the Quran. Yeah, if you didn't know the Arabic. So that means that God is telling us that there are certain types of truths that we can access through these different forms, but revelation is the ultimate form. It's the
You
form
got
that
you got
supersedes
that
any
you
other
got that
forms.
through reading with your eyes.
Yeah, that's what he says.
Yeah, but
He
how do
says
you
that you can
know?
gain-
But you're assuming that what you read with your eyes is true. If what you read with your if your eyes are not trustworthy, then how can you trust that the word of God that you're reading is actually
absolutely.
there?
I could have a
Right.
brain in the vat with
Yeah.
me that I'm running a simulation for, and I could make that brain think it read a book, and in the book I could make it think that it said this book is true, and you are right to trust your senses.
But see, you guys forgot the first part of that, which I said there were two different forms, and I explained what the internal form is. That internal form, which is
Yeah, I could
non-inferential.
write all that in,
It
in the
resonates.
pretend brain. Yeah, in that
Yeah.
pretend brain
He's
simulation.
really
I could
good
write
at
all that.
coding. Have you not seen badbiblehub.com?
It's
Yeah,
pretty
I mean,
good.
it's resonance. Resonance with the external gives you a strong sense that is revelation.
Yeah,
So
the
when you
sense
have that
is the
resonance,
thing that's in question. If the sense is true, as strong as it is, it's all simulated.
it's all
Do you not
simulated.
do you not know what solipsism is?
No, 'cause he solved it.
I understand what solipsism is. What I'm
I
saying
think you
is
solved a different thing than you think you did.
no. What I'm saying is that there are different types of inclinations internally that a person has. A person can have an inclination that comes from revelation. A person can have an inclination that comes from their own nefs, which is called desire, like the lower base self. It can
Those
be
are all
angelic.
from the simulation. Those are programmed from the simulation. Those aren't real.
If I,
Well,
for
that-
example,
that's-
were a grown man who had a desire to marry a 9-year-old, would that be something
I
that?
knew it was gonna go here. I knew it was gonna go. I don't know why atheists do this. To me, it's just like I don't know, some kind of a brain malfunction. The only thing you guys go to is that argument. As
Oh,
if that's
sure.
a
How
good
about
argument.
434
Because it's
instead?
gross.
I mean,
We can go to
it's like
434. You
we
prefer
pivot
that?
to morality.
Do you prefer that?
from
Do you
a
prefer
non-
that
from an
reflecting?
amoral- Look, pivoting to morality, I think, is just a cop out. Like if you can't deal with the reality.
Well, it's just
of
you're
what
saying
we're
that your
talking about,
book
then
gives you
fine.
objective revelations. That must mean that, hey, it's objectively okay to marry a 9-year-old.
Well, obviously, morality is in the realm of what God says is, not in the realm of what
And
people
it
think.
seems God says this is okay, so that must mean that it is moral to marry a 9-year-old.
You also don't understand the worldview. You also don't understand how morals work within the
Okay,
worldview.
well then can you
That's
explain to
not what the
me
worldview
if
says.
well then tell me whether or not it is moral.
Look, all this proves to me is that you've conceded.
Can you
that
tell
were
me
not
that it
able
is
to.
moral or not
Yeah,
moral?
hey, look, we can do that so that you can go ahead and kick me, and this is your way to get out of it. You can do that, but what I'm going to tell you is you've conceded that anything which can be conceived of exists. God is conceivable, therefore
No.
God exists. You
I
have
think
lost
we
the
missed
debate.
that
It's
part.
not
Yeah,
my
You're
fault.
that's
conceiving that happened, but that doesn't make it
Yeah, you
true.
conceived of it, which doesn't mean it exists.
Look,
It's
after
just
this,
it's weird how you
all
haven't
the
You
immediately
solved
like why
everything
did you not
and done
immediately
everything.
condemn the marrying of a 9 like why are you having to go on this whole tirade about like, oh, you're using this as a moral excuse to kick me? It's just like
Here
can't
we
you
go
just
again. I'm gonna
Yep.
defend it again.
Yep.
Right,
It's
like,
what
oh,
it's
you're gonna
what
get
you
mad
guys
that
do.
I'm defending marrying a child. Like,
No, it's like the atheist sick mind. Like you guys go into the sickness and you start talking about, marrying
By
children
saying
and stuff.
it's
You
by
guys,
saying it's
you
bad to
guys
do
have
that.
that problem.
hey,
It's really
No,
you
it's
disgusting.
so
realize
gross
we're
to
not the
say that's
ones
bad.
we're
You
not
brought
the
it up.
ones who are getting our information from someone who did that, Reflect.
I'm also not the one that advocates for child marriage. You started talking about it, which is sickening to me.
So
You really
condemn
shouldn't do
it.
that. I'm condemning what you're talking about. Yeah, I think it's
Condemn
sick.
what
I
Muhammad
condemn
did.
what you're
We're
talking about.
talking about
Condemn
how
Child
the
marriage.
God is
actions of
Child
Muhammad.
marriage. Child marriage is
Reflect
disgusting,
King,
and that's something
condemn
you
the
shouldn't be talking
actions
about.
of Muhammad.
Oh, what you should do is you should just kick me because you lost
Reflect.
already.
No, I'm not
You've
kicking
lost
you
already.
because
You've
I
lost.
want to hold your feet to
You've
this fucking
lost.
fire.
You
Reflect.
have lost.
Oh, I can
You
sing
have
so much
lost.
better than you. You do not want to go down that road.
Just reflect, just so we can get back to the solipsism thing. Do a quick thing where, yeah, Muhammad was a piece of shit. He shouldn't have done that, and let's get back to the thing.
Nice
It's so
try,
easy.
Mezzo. Mezzo, I beat
why
you
w-
last time we talked. You lost the last time we debated. You've lost
I don't know
every
who
single
you
time.
are.
And look, atheists lose. No atheist
Reflect.
has ever beat me in a debate,
Reflect.
ever.
Can you just real quick condemn the actions of Muhammad?
I really don't remember talking to
Can
you
you
before on my
condemn
live.
what you said earlier? What you said about, marrying children? Can you condemn that, please? I think that's
I condemn
disgusting.
I
marrying
condemn marrying
children.
children. Can you condemn the
Oh,
actions
good.
of Muhammad for marrying a
Good.
child?
So please don't ever talk about it again. That's disgusting.
Can
Thank
you condemn the
Let's
actions
move
of
on to
Muhammad?
substance.
I love this. Let's sweep it under the rug and no
Let's
one
move
ever
on to
talk about this
substance.
again. No one ever mentioned that things happen to children. Like, this is a great solution for
You
it,
shouldn't
piece
talk
of
about
shit.
Yeah,
it. No, you
Reflect
definitely shouldn't
King.
talk about it. That's disgusting.
Not to
I
condemn
can't
it?
believe that atheists do this all the time.
Bringing up something to condemn it is bad?
Bringing it up and talking about it as
So if we
it's something
acknowledge the
that we
fact that
should
like
be
human
discussing
trafficking exists
is
and say that's
insanity.
horrible and it shouldn't happen and you shouldn't support anyone who does it, that is a bad thing?
I think what you did earlier, that was a bad thing, yes. I
Okay,
think
then
that's
condemn the
ask you
actions
this
of
way.
Muhammad.
Reflect,
I think you
do
should
do
condemn what you said.
Let me ask you this, Reflect. Do you think the Holocaust, just to check, was the Holocaust bad?
Do you guys condemn? Like, this is not working
I
out
don't know
well
why
for
you're
you
not
at
answering.
all.
You're the one dodging. Was the Holocaust bad?
Oh no, you've run away from my argument.
Was the
completely.
Holocaust bad? Reflect.
Killing anybody is bad.
Okay,
Answer the
was
question.
Holocaust
Anybody
bad?
is bad. Anybody.
Was
It wouldn't
the
matter if
Holocaust
it's.
bad? What a
wouldn't matter.
odd question to dodge.
Look at how.
Why
look at
are you
how much-
dodging?
Look at how much the atheist has to do to get away from their
This is
worldview
the
being
easy
contradictory.
You're
You have
dodging.
to insinuate.
throwing
I
the
am
that-
gonna mute you
softball
because you
here.
just won't stop talking. We are giving you like the easiest question ever. Just condemn the Holocaust.
Well, that's very easy to condemn all evil, and Holocaust was
Just do
evil.
that one.
Condemn the Holocaust.
Talk about it. Why do we talk about such disgusting?
Condemn
horrible
the
things?
Holocaust.
Oh my
We're
God.
condemning you. I think that you're terrible.
Me,
for
but
condemning
not
that
the
sort of thing.
Holocaust? Why are you
Because you
condemning me,
Wait,
but
so
not
that's-
the
That's good.
You keep
Holocaust?
bringing up
You're able-
horrible,
this is good. No,
horrible
this is good.
things.
You're able to condemn
Yeah, that's
somebody.
sad.
You can do it. You're able to condemn a bad action, right?
You
You
know
just
what I
did it
think?
with Robot Goat.
I think
Yes.
Right?
if you have,
So
if
you
have
are able.
nothing,
Stop interrupting. Just listen to this for a second.
go ahead.
You've proved that you're able to condemn something bad. You just condemned a Robot Goat. You won't do it for the Holocaust or for pedophilia, but you're able to do it. So you're able to make moral
Look at
claims
the
here.
picture they have to paint now. They have to paint.
So go ahead.
Go ahead and unpaint our picture. Clearly
and you wanna-
condemn the Holocaust and clearly condemn the marrying of
Look, guys,
Muhammad and Aisha.
I could care less
He
what
won't
you
do
think
it.
about me. I could care less what you think about
He
me.
won't
I have
do it.
You
proven my
won't do
point.
it?
I have proven my point.
Yes, you have
guys
proven
have
your point.
no
You're a
substance in
monster.
Your worldview.
You're
yeah,
disgusting.
You see what you have
You're
to do?
egotistical,
You're
and you have
disgusting,
nothing to
Mezzo.
offer. You haven't solved anything. You think you're full of yourself and nothing else. You didn't solve solipsism. You won't like say the Holocaust was bad. You're a nightmare. You should like really never come back up
This is
here.
what you have to run away.
I just explained the whole thing that you just did. This isn't a runaway. We're faced to all of it.
And I'll be happy to keep you on if you just condemn either one. Condemn the actions of
Either
Muhammad or condemn the Holocaust. You can pick which one you want to condemn.
What I'll do is this. You guys got embarrassed. I'm sorry you got embarrassed. I'll get better next time. Goodbye. And all your audience should also
Wow.
become theists, guys.
Yeah,
These
yeah.
guys are
Everybody
gross.
convert.
Yeah.
To this guy.
Be more like this
After
guy.
The worst ones I've ever debated. You guys did the worst job.
Be like this fucking guy, obviously. This is who you want to be.
Unbelievable. Like, honestly, he could have lied. He could have been like, "Yeah, I condemn the Holocaust," even though he secretly doesn't. Like, he could just say that, and then we could have kept talking. That was crazy.
Yeah, that. Oof. The fact that he just kept being like, I condemn all evil. But wouldn't fucking condemn the Holocaust?
Well, he didn't think it was evil, so that's like the nice move.
Yeah, right.
What a nightmare. What a nightmare it must be to live inside that guy's mind. And he didn't even condemn that you killed that tiny little man.
And his son. I left the widow
I missed
alive.
that part. You should probably just like, at this point, put her out of her.
No, she's still going.
But she's probably pretty sad. It might be best to.
Oh,
just,
she's
like,
been sobbing the whole time. Just
It's probably
tears.
best to end it. I'm just gonna put that out there.
You think I should? Okay.
TikTok, don't get me in trouble for that. It's an imaginary person.
Guys, this is what Mezzo said I should do. I don't. Oh. No. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. He told me. Look, Mezzo is someone I trust, and so if I'm sorry. I want to get ahead of it. I want to apologize now to my audience. I should not have dropped that tiny little invisible widow while she was mid tap dance mourning her tap dancing family that I also dropped. You know, I'm sorry if you were offended by that. Clearly my actions were influenced by other people. And if you're really upset about it, that's really having an emotional impact on me. So you should stop doing that because it'll make me sad. I just want to clarify that. So I'm sorry that that you got offended by that. Is that a good apology? All right, next up.
Yeah, hello?
Why, hello. Can I get your name, age, and pronouns?
Yeah, my name is Cap. I'm 18. Yeah.
All right, Cap. What's your religion or lack thereof?
Yeah, I just believe that there is a God. And by God here,
No
we're just
particular?
talking about just a mind that created the universe, axiologically motivated to bring about value.
Oh,
That's
fucking
about it.
hell. All right.
So I have an argument. Basically, the idea is just that there's this data. It's more expected under theism than naturalism. So then you get an update in favor of theism. And so there's a lot of moving parts here we need to unpack. So the first one is, what is naturalism? It's just a thesis that everything that exists is a result of natural causes. It's completely indifferent to value. And the data we're talking about fine-tuning for discoverability. Now, fine-tuning for discoverability is just the idea that there's a a wide range of ways that the universe could have been. Then that wide range, there's a narrow range that's life permitting, and then even narrower, right? There's a range that is not only life permitting, but also discoverable. And we're saying that under naturalism, we have reason to assume the principle of indifference. And the principle of indifference just talks about if you have no reason to update your probabilities, you treat them all as equally probable. And so, yeah, that's basically the idea. And then we draw out the prediction under theism using value, right? If this mind is motivated to bring about value, then obviously it would act to bring about value, and discoverability is valuable. And yeah, that's the idea.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's just the basic argument.
Cool. Just adding something to my stream for no particular reason. Yes, you would have to give me like evidence for why I should believe anything that you're saying.
Yeah, what exactly do you need evidence for? Do you want evidence for the data? Do you want evidence for the predictions?
Yeah, give me the data, yeah.
Okay, well, the data just is the fine-tuning. We're talking about epistemic possibility, so
fine-tuning? You're going for
the
fine-tuning.
Could have been different, and there's a wide range of ways that the constants could have been different. For all we know, right? There's no when we talk about epistemic possibility, they could be necessary. The constants could be necessary under metaphysical modality, but we're talking about
and that comes to us courtesy of Nathan. Nathan paid to kick. So thank you, Nathan, for sparing all of us. People who are saying that I got cooked when I hadn't said anything yet, my friends. I'm glad that you brought all your cronies in here, though, Cap. That's nice. It's always good when, like, the glossary guys decide to bring in, like, tons of people. Anyway, someone paid 10 to kick you, even though 5 was the required amount. So they doubly wanted you fucking gone. So GG's to Nathan for that one. Cap, I kicked you because I was paid to kick you. I was literally sent money to kick you. Welcome in, Amos. Can I get your age and pronouns? Apparently not.
Yo, what's up?
Hey, can I get your name, age, and pronouns?
Yeah. You can call me Scholar. I'm 19, and you can call me whatever you want.
Okay, so if chat were going to refer to you, would they say he, she, they, something else?
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
All right, I expect everyone to respect our pronouns. So, Scholar, what is your religion or lack thereof?
Yeah, I'm Eastern Orthodox.
Ooh, fun. You gonna convert me?
When you mean by converts, you just mean like after this conversation, it's expected to lead to you believing in my God?
Well, I am an atheist, so to convert me would be to get me to believe in a religion.
Okay, great. All right, that's fine. You want the argument?
Whatever you want to give me.
Yeah, sure. I guess we can start with, I'm guessing you know what intuitions are?
I think I do, but I don't really have a good explanation for why. I just have a feeling that I do.
Okay, great. I guess we can start off right here. Okay, that's fine. Listen, do you think that, we can just start off with, do you think that contingent things exist?
Some?
Yeah, do you think that contingent things exist?
Yeah, I said some.
Yeah, okay, great. Okay, so P1 is just, there are things that exist that are at least one contingent being. Okay, you agreed with that. Okay, so in P2, right, do you think that contingent things require explanations?
What do you mean?
That they're not brute facts?
Contingent things require explanation. Requiring explanations doesn't mean that they're not brute facts.
Yeah.
Because
Wait, hold on.
even
Wait, that's true. Wait, hold on. No. Brute facts are the type of things that don't require explanations.
right, but there are things that can not require explanation that are not brute facts, and there are brute facts that. Oh, sorry. Let me just check real quick. Okay, no. It does not mean when you say that something doesn't require an explanation, that doesn't make it a brute fact.
I never said that. I'm just stating that for every contingent being, it depends on something else for its existence. It's contingent, right, on another thing.
Contingent
And those things
being?
Yeah, those
You
contingent
just said
beings,
contingent thing.
yeah, we can just, that's a given X, and then we can just put that X, right, for
Right,
being.
but there are things that you might say are contingent that are not beings.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay, listen, P1 just says there are at least one contingent beings or any given items, right? You agreed with that. Then I said for every contingent being or for every contingent item, it requires an explanation for that given item or thing.
For every
I'm asking you,
contingent being. No.
Yeah. You don't think that? Why?
Because a rock rolling down a hill depends on the rock, like, having some sort of force that causes it to go down the hill. It doesn't require an explanation. It just happens.
You just explained it. You just explained why that thing
No,
happened.
but if that occurs, it doesn't require an explanation to occur. It just occurs.
So if you said so if I was to
it
see
would
that
it would
rock rolling
it would
down,
occur regardless of whether or not I explained it.
Hold on. You don't know. No. Those things require an effect and require an explanation. You can't just say the rock rolled down because it rolled down. That's circular.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying. I'm saying it will occur regardless of whether or not it is explained.
Yeah, I know it will happen regardless of explained. I'm just saying
So-
those things need explanations. You can't just, because it will then become viciously circular. Do you agree or disagree? Wait, no. Why do you not think these things will be viciously circular?
Because if it occurs regardless of explanation, it does not require an explanation. For it to require an explanation, it would mean that it would not occur in the absence of an explanation. But because there are things that are unexplained, then therefore it does not require explanation. And somebody already paid to kick you to Scholar. I might have to put a time limit on that because I didn't know that this this would go that quickly. Wait, I'm sorry. Is there a user in chat? Oh no. There's a user in chat called Grieving Widow. Oh, that is unfortunate timing. Welcome to the chat. Nobody paid though? Actually, it was by Grana Zana for so.
Oh my
They've
gosh.
Discord obsessed with me, by the way. I can believe it.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh.
It's such an honor to be here.
Wow, I'm sure that it is. So, Secret
It's
Eye,
nice to meet you.
what are your name, age, and pronouns?
Well, my name is Secret. My age is 20.
Well, you can tell me.
And my pronouns are he, him.
What's your name? You can tell me.
Oh, my personal information?
Just like what you want to be called.
Oh, secret.
No, it's
Secret
okay. You can
words.
tell me.
Oh, you could call me Jossie. You know how to say that?
Jossie.
Yeah, I knew it'd be a little bit difficult for you. So I just decided to go by my internet alias.
Gotcha. So, what is your religion or lack thereof?
Yeah, I'm Muslim. What about you? Okay, you're atheist? Okay, awesome. So...
Yeah, I knew that would be hard for you.
No, I was just confirming, we're trying to have like a good faith dialogue going back and forth here, learning things
sure
about
we
each other,
are.
sharing names, just really having a good time together. So I like
my
to
name
start by
my name
just-
is Robotgoat, or T,
Okay.
whichever one you want to go with.
Okay.
I'm a Leo sun. You?
I don't know, because actually recently I learned that star signs, like, they change, and there's like new information and updating such that we don't really take the original understanding of what our signs are. So I actually don't know where my sign is. I'm kind of just like among the stars, really trying to find myself. But listen, let's just get into the conversation
Wow.
and have a good, faithful, linear discussion
This
about
guy's
God's
so
existence.
cool. Sorry. Go on, Ballsy.
Yeah. So what? You're gonna make fun of my name? Is it because it's like ethnic?
Ethnic?
Yeah,
Where
yeah,
does
Josh
Ballsy come
ethnic
from?
is a Ghanaian name. Or you call me Ballsy, like are you like trying to make a play on word of my name? Like
You
is
well,
that
you
what you're
asked me
trying
if
to
I
do?
could say your name. You didn't ask if I knew how to spell it.
No. I'm saying you called me Ballsy as a play on my name, which is Jossie.
It's more funny because it's like a misnomer, right?
Are you intentionally doing that because it like is not conventional? Like if it was Jason, like maybe you'd respect it a little bit more and maybe not make fun of it. Is that what's going on right
If
now?
it was Jason, I probably would have spelled it with 2 S's, so it had ass in it.
Okay, but I wasn't talking about spelling. I was talking about pronunciation. But let's get back into the linear faith discussion. Good faith discussion. I misspoke. I'm sorry.
Gayson, that's funnier. Fuck, I would have called you
Okay,
Gayson.
okay. So this is just like blatant racism. Thank you. Now let's continue.
Racism? Hello?
Yeah, let's continue.
Because I'm calling you
as I was
Ballsy?
saying- Yeah, let's continue. So as I was saying, right, I just think God. Okay, I just think God exists because it's the best possible explanation for the evidence we have access to. So I'm just gonna make some sort of abductive argument for God's existence. Is that
Abduct
okay?
away, Ballsy.
Okay, so well, I don't care for the ad homs and the racist retorts, but
It's not an
I
ad
basically
hom, and
think
I
that
haven't
the
said a
second-
single
wait,
fucking
can
racist
I
thing.
can I finish my sentence without being cut off?
Not if
Thank
you're
you.
accusing me of
So
things
as
that
I
aren't
was saying,
true.
wait. As I was saying before you rudely interrupted me, I just think
Yeah, go
whenever
ahead.
we examine, oh my gosh, whenever we examine,
Go ahead.
Yeah, whenever we examine.
Sorry, there's a
the
delay.
Yeah, can you just like stop talking? Maybe mute your mic. Like, would that help you a
I'll
little
just,
bit?
you can go ahead and go.
Oh my gosh, white tea people, bro. Am I right? As I was saying, whenever we look,
What does
at
that
the-
mean?
Well, you just see you have a sense of entitlement.
Anyway, thank you, Timothy. Thank you, Timothy, for the 5 with the caption "Bye, Ballsy." Damn, I might have to put in a timer. Oh! Now I know who Timothy is. I don't know. Do you want me to say it? But thank you. We've got someone who's supposed to be loading in. Nope. I can't spell. Now we got it. It's very interesting that I just made like a funny little joke about his name being secret and he got so ass hurt that it turned into that. Well, church shit, thank you for getting rid of that. 'Cause that was... alright, you are not loading in. If you want to re-request, you may try. Amos, welcome back. You hear me this time?
Yeah, I can hear you this time.
Wonderful. So, you above 18?
I am 45.
Great. And what pronoun should we use for you?
You can use I, we.
Well, that's going to get confusing.
But those are pronouns.
Right, but if I am talking to I, then I wouldn't know what to say to we.
Then you can say we. That'd be fine for you if you're confused.
Right, but if I am talking about, like, I's religion, then how would I know what I is saying? Because
Yeah, but wouldn't you say that people that use pronouns are already confused? So what's wrong?
No,
with
I
being
would say
extra confused?
every person alive uses pronouns.
I know we all use pronouns.
So-
you asked me for.
So
my
I guess
pronouns.
I guess
said
we
I,
are
we.
all confused.
Yeah, you're right. I said I, we. Did you not ask for pronouns?
Right, it's just those are first person pronouns.
Oh,
And when
that's
people
right.
ask what are your pronouns, they're asking what are your third
did
person
you mean what are
pronouns?
my third person pronouns?
Yeah.
Oh, so you didn't understand how to ask for third person?
I kind of understand like how the way the
Oh, so
conversation works
say
because
I made a screw up.
everyone would refer to themselves as like I, or if they're using first person plural, they would say we. That is universally true, so that's not something I would need to ask you, right? That's something that is universally true of every single person. So if I'm asking you what your pronouns are, that would mean that I'm asking which ones you specifically would use or want to be used in reference to you, which is generally understood by people who are not being bad faith.
Oh, so okay. Got it. Now I understand.
I hope you do.
Yeah, I understand. So you asked me, what are your pronouns? And I said, ooh, okay, pronouns. There's a lot of pronouns. I, we. And you go, I'm confused. And I go, why are you confused? Because you just asked for pronouns. And I gave you a couple of pronouns, but you should have said, Amos, can you give me your third person pronouns? But you don't know how to actually have
Oh,
a
I couldn't have done
conversation
that
correctly.
because if I had said you, I would have been assuming your second person pronouns. And I wouldn't want to assume your second person pronouns. So.
Yeah, so I'm a dude with a male genitalia. Can we just go on?
Damn, you guys. So, Bayou Billiot just paid 10 to kick this motherfucker. We got $4 from Wherefore Art Thou Bay with just a period. And we got Kevin Smith, 3210, sending over 2 to say ass hurt is kind of homophobic. Excuse me, straight people can do anal. Anyway. New favorite Vice. Welcome in.
How's it going?
It's going all right. Can I get your name, age, and pronouns?
You can call me Vice. I'm gonna go 27 and he, him.
Wonderful. Wow, that's surprisingly easy for you to answer.
Yeah, I've been listening to the last few conversations. I don't know if they actually wanted to make a point about religion, but that just got so lost in the minutia so quickly.
No, it's just a bunch of them all are in the same Discord community, and once they find a specific streamer that they really latch onto, they all come in and flood the chat in support of their bro. And that's why you'll see a bunch of people be like, let up so and so, let up so and so. And then the moment they're up, people being like, oh, they're cooking, he's cooking you, you're so cooked, host, you've been cooked. Before anything has even been said, because it doesn't actually depend on the conversation. They're just going to keep their friend's dick in their mouth the entire time.
Sounds like a fun setup you got going on.
I'm not doing it. So Vice, what religion are you planning to convert me to?
Christianity.
Interesting. Okay, well I am a former Christian, so you would technically be reconverting me.
Ooh. What denomination were you?
I was Southern Baptist.
Hey, Sabe.
Oh, really? Interesting. All right. Well, that kind of makes your odds a little worse, doesn't it?
I'm a bit more denominational, but I grew up in the South, so I'm exposed to it a lot.
I mean, me too. I grew up in Alabama.
Oh, yeah, that's deep South. Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess, what made you drop it?
So I started getting exposed to other worldviews and realized that what I've been told was the absolute truth might not be. So I started looking into my beliefs, investigating them more from an outside perspective, and just found that it didn't hold up. I don't believe that that God exists.
Okay. And I do want to. This is such an easy you can see where it's coming a mile away. I promise this isn't a gotcha. Have you read through the whole book?
Yeah.
Okay. What was it that was in the book itself that I guess you're saying what you thought was absolute truth from being exposed to other worldviews started making you question it? What was it that you start questioning?
Yeah, so one, just the validity of the Bible itself, right? I was taught apologetics constantly because I went to a religious school from like preschool, elementary, middle school, high school. So I was taught a lot of apologetics, and sometimes those didn't quite make sense to me, but I accepted that they were true because they were being told to me by people I trusted. But the more I looked into them, the more they started to fail. So there are just some aspects of the Bible, like the contradictions, the inaccuracies, and the atrocities that the God commits in the Bible that just don't make sense.
I guess that's fair.
If you are partaking in any sort of substance use, I ask that you discontinue it while on my life.
Oh, sorry. Sorry. I'll put that away. So you came to the conclusion from looking at some outside views, from reading the text, that there were contradictions in it, you said, and the validity of it you questioned.
Yeah.
I guess because honestly, listen, I could go through point by point, but I don't think that's going to convert anyone. I really think that's a terrible method of doing it. But I do think when it comes to a matter of conversion, there is something that happens where two people read the same book and they come away with two very different conclusions. I don't think it's fair to say that either of them are dumb or unfounded. I think they're both putting in a lot of effort. So the question becomes, why do some people read the book and they come to the conclusion it's true? And why do some people read the book and they come to the conclusion it's false? My argument, and it's totally fine if you disagree, it's more of a hypothesis than like a theory, is that it is a matter of heart posture. You can have intellectual people smarter than both of us who are religious.
The heart
you can have people
posture. Vice.
I mean, you can use a different phrasing, a more secular phrasing, but it's the same mindset. Stubbornness of ego.
Yeah, that is a phrase I only hear coming from Christians, typically apologists, specifically. Ooh, I gotta sneeze. Hold on.
Gesundheit.
It's just, there are some things that are presented in the Bible that are blatantly untrue. There are things that are presented in the Bible that contradict each other directly. And there are things in the Bible that just don't comport with an all-loving, all-powerful, all-knowing God. But here's the thing. Christians come at it, like this whole heart posture thing, basically it boils down to, well, if you came into it expecting it to be true, then you would believe it's true. And that's really what heart posture boils down to, which is just not super convincing, because it basically means that if you already have a presupposition that it's true, then you're more likely to believe in it, which, yes, obviously, but that has nothing to do with the actual truth of the text itself.
The presupposition that it's true, I do think that's valid, but when I talk about heart posture, I guess the secular phrasing that I use was stubbornness of ego, I do think that from a lot of point of view, like you said, it doesn't line up for what a loving, all-powerful God should be like. And yes, you can get into really dangerous territory if you just say that, well, if God is God, then he can act however he wants, and therefore I just have to accept that. But it does beg the question, who am I if God is real, if there is a God? Not saying a presupposition that's true, but just leaving the possibility open that my understanding of what love is correct. It comes from a place.
So you're saying that he has like a different way of understanding than ours?
Not that his way of understanding, I mean, it does say that his way is greater than ours, but it's what we see.
His ways are higher, who cares if the world's a mess? His ways are higher, I'm too blessed to be stressed. His ways are higher, I'm gonna say it with my chest. His ways are higher, this is a big barbaric test. Just pawns in a game of chess, but it doesn't make me love him less. I'm too blessed to be stressed.
Bravo.
Thank you.
You already had that pulled up. That was nice.
When someone goes down a certain avenue, I try to be primed on the button. So if you ever say context, you better get your ass ready.
Oh, I got context primed up. Don't you worry.
Oh!
I know you're waiting for it. But no, when I do mean that his way is higher than ours, it is easy from looking at, especially in a world that is very obviously, I would say unfair, unjust, evil is a way you could call it. Not that people are inherently evil, but that the world itself, the rules of nature aren't really designed for like equity, what we would consider fairness. But we do have an understanding of fairness. When I say that God's way is higher than ours, is what we see as maybe unfair in that moment is without, here's your word, context.
Oh, it doesn't really count. It's got to be context about the Bible, but we'll get into it.
Okay.
Yeah, I would just say the problem with that is it's also what's known as a thought-stopping cliche, right? So the times that I hear that his ways are higher the most is when I'm discussing things within Scripture that God does that does not align with the idea of an all-loving or all-just God. People will go with his understanding of love or justice is just above ours. But when we look at the things that this God does in the Bible, for instance, consistently condoning the owning of people as property, for instance, specifically telling the Israelites to slay the Amalekite children and infants. For example, him telling them to take the Midianite virgin girls as sex slaves. That does not comport with the idea of an all-loving God, unless you want to say that it is loving to slay infants, that it is loving to have slaves, and it is loving to force young girls into sexual slavery, which few Christians would say that those things are loving, yet they will come up with a way to justify those acts as loving when God does them.
Okay, so I don't want to go through the minutia of each individual point just because I don't think it'll be productive. All I can say to that is any one of those points, if you want to go through it, for example, the condoning of slavery. You can look at an ancient world without bringing in religion to it. Slavery is an inevitability, not race-based slavery, just the kind of slavery where if you live in a world, like it's not really countries, governments, it's just a bunch of warlords who are ruling over each other, and they have to continuously gobble up other nations to maintain their own viability before they get gobbled up by another one. So say you go in, you take another city. What do you do with all the people? You can't take them with you if they're military-age fighting men, because that's a bad idea. You can kick them all out of the city, but they will just die on the streets. So you kind of, it's not a good system, it's a horrible world, but there isn't another option other than to enslave or kill the defeated people. All God does is set conditions on how you are to treat enslaved people. He doesn't condone it, saying that's justified, and in the letter of Philemon in the New Testament, Paul tells them as a brother in Christ that you are not to have him as a slave and you are to set him free, and you can directly cite the letter of Philemon.
No, that's not true. That's not what Philemon says. He sends Philemon back to his master, does not tell the master to set him free, just says to treat him like a brother. Never specifically says
he says he doesn't, and he specifically says, I don't have to tell you to do this. I know because of the love within you that you will not take him back as a slave, but as a brother in Christ.
No, he tells him to do it. But again,
he specifically says,
it does not condemn slavery. Okay, I guess we're gonna have to read it.
It's one page long. It's literally one page letter.
Yeah, but like reading's so hard.
It's the worst part, ain't it? You can directly track, though, the abolishment of slavery through the spread of Christianity, and largely that is because Europe became entirely Christendom, so they couldn't enslave each other anymore, but that's because there is a set practice from Scripture that you are not to enslave other Christians. You're supposed to take them back as a brother in Christ.
For this reason, though I am more than bold enough in Christ to command you to do the right thing, yet I would rather appeal to you on the basis of love. I am appealing to you for my child, whose father I have become during my imprisonment. Formerly he was useless to you, he is indeed useful to you and to me. I am sending him, that is, my own heart, back to you. I wanted to keep him with me so that he might minister to me in your place during my imprisonment for the gospel, but I preferred to do nothing without your consent in order that your good deed might be voluntary and not something forced. Perhaps this is the reason he was separated from you for a while, so that you might have him back for the long term, no longer as a slave, but more than a slave, a beloved brother, especially to me, but how much more to you, both in the flesh and the Lord.
Specifically does not command him, says I'm appealing to you out of love that you will treat him as a human, because God does not just want people to follow the law, he wants a change in heart posture.
But I am sending him back and telling him how he should treat him. That's not just... If he genuinely just hoped he would do it out of the goodness of his heart, he wouldn't say, well, I'm not going to tell you because I would hope you would do this, but, you know?
He specifically prefaces it, though, with, I could command this, but I won't.
Yeah, he's saying, like, he could force it. He's still telling him to do it.
He's saying, I trust that you won't. And he's giving the reason why. Again, the whole point is that it is supposed to be... I mean, think about it. If you were an omnipotent being dealing with humans as arrogant as they are, if you have to tell them not to enslave people for them to not enslave people, something's gone horribly wrong in their heart. They should just not want to do that.
Okay, but he gives 600 plus laws. Why would he not make one of those laws don't own people?
Because the alternative is kill them all. Again, ancient world, there isn't another option.
It doesn't have to be if you're all-powerful. There could be an infinite number of alternative options.
Under the conditions that he set, and like, if you want to go into the whole like Genesis, but
he's not constrained by any conditions. He's all-powerful.
He self-constrains himself to allow us to exist. If God was to exercise judgment against evil always, infinitely, correctly, immediately, none of us could exist in the first
I'm not
place.
saying he has to exercise judgment against evil. I'm saying he is all-powerful. He could have created the universe in any number of ways that wouldn't have made the only two options death or enslavement. He specifically chose not to make the universe that way.
He specifically chose the universe in which you got to exist. Why would we be upset about that?
Because it's the universe where slavery also existed/exists.
Yeah, that's not his design. Genesis 1 makes it very
clear. That
clear.
is his design. He is all-knowing. He knew precisely how...
Yes, no,
if you truly believe he is all-knowing, then he knows everything that will ever happen in the universe, and he designed it accordingly, knowing that, and knowing that if he altered the universe a certain way, it would alter the course of those events.
But
so
you wouldn't exist in that scenario.
Okay, if it took me never having existed for there to not be slavery? Ever? Hello? Goodbye?
So you would choose the non-existence of all humanity over any bad
Of all
action
humanity?
existing?
No, I'm talking about me specifically.
Yeah, but when I mean you, I don't mean specifically you. I mean us. All humans fall short of the glory of God. All have sinned. If we live in a world where God perfectly executes sin, or he never allows it to exist in the first place, we don't get to exist.
So no
There's
humans get to go to
option.
heaven?
No humans get to exist in a world where evil
So no
cannot-
humans get to go to heaven?
They would never have existed in the first place.
So humans, no, in our current universe, humans don't get to go to heaven?
No, they do.
Oh, but I thought you just said that humans couldn't exist in like a sinless world.
We did originally. That was the, again, I keep trying to say it and then you cut me off, and it's totally fine. I cut people off all the time. But in Genesis 1, the whole point of it is that he's saying in the beginning, this was this, and it was good, and it was good, and it was good, and then humans, and it was very good. This becomes very important into Genesis 3 when the fall happens. The whole point is that this is not the original design. You are supposed to look at the world, at death, at suffering, and go, this is wrong. This is intuitively wrong. There's something in me that knows that this is not how it's supposed to be.
Hold on, sorry. YouTube mods, are you trying to tell... Oh, I'm much louder than the caller. Okay, thank you for telling me. Before, it was the other way around. Is that better, YouTube? Give me just a second. Sorry, I'm trying to make sure I'm not blasting people's eardrums out.
No, you're good.
TikTok, is the volume level okay? Okay, TikTok's good. I'm so sorry that I've been blasting you guys' ear out. So, every single time in the past, it's always been that my mic was, like, way too low. Too low now? Fuck. Better? Happy medium? Hello? I turned it back up a little bit. Is it better turned back up? Keep talking. I'm talking. I'm getting my volume up. Hello, hello. You think it's okay now? It's better? Little higher? Okay, little higher. A little bit more. Is that good there? Just put it back? Well, this is very different than where it was before. I appreciate you guys on TikTok having patience with me. Well, if God's massager of meat says it sounds good.
You know it's good.
I trust them with my life. Too loud? I bumped it up like 1 decibel. I don't think I can make everybody happy here. It seems like the most number of people are saying this is okay. Sorry, strange chat. Do not put it back to original. This is an improvement, depends on guest volume. Alright, guest, talk a little bit and we'll see if it also is good for them.
Hello, am I coming through loud and clear?
Is the guest coming loud enough? Can people please tell me? TikTok, you guys too, is the guest coming loud enough? I can try to fix it so that the guest is coming louder, but I don't know if I want to do that if it's already loud enough.
Might be coming as loud as I can right now.
You could put a little more effort into it.
I probably could.
Appropriate level. Okay. Caller sounds good. Yes. Okay, I think we're good to go. Sorry about that. Completely forgot where we were in the conversation.
I was going on a ramble
the way you
about
create the
religion.
universe.
Specifically, going back to Genesis, the original state was good, and that you are supposed to intuitively understand that this is wrong. This is not supposed to be the way the world is supposed to act.
But isn't it made clear that when they eat the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, that's when they gain the knowledge of good and evil?
In the default state, humans were neither good or bad. By our actions, our choices made us who we are. You're not inherently good or evil.
That's not what I'm asking. Prior to eating the fruit from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, did humans have knowledge of good and evil?
It's what they do with it after the knowledge that matters, actually.
But did they have the knowledge prior to eating the fruit?
That's irrelevant. They're not in trouble.
It's very relevant.
Let's say, okay, let's say that's not the important. That's not what God is mad about. What's the first thing they do after they eat the fruit? That becomes the problem. That's the actual problem with sin. The first thing they do is they try to cover themselves up and hide their shame from God and hide from Him directly. That is the problem with sin. It creates a natural desire to have separation with God.
So it's not the eating of the fruit that was the sin.
The eating of the fruit just made us aware of sin. Once we had sin, we started acting in accordance with an understanding of sin. That is where things started to go wrong.
Gotcha. So it was just the fact that they wanted to wear clothes that was a sin?
No, it wasn't that they wanted to wear clothes. It's that they were naked in the garden originally. But here's the thing. We know that God was there. He didn't care about that. That was never a problem. But once they became aware of their own sin, what they had done was wrong because they gave Him a command, which they didn't know beforehand. But once they had awareness of what they had done, they immediately tried to... Look, you can say it's 100% literal or 100% figurative, but I think there's an idea constantly going on through the Bible of trying to cover yourself up in a way that isn't in a way that hides you from God. And then the next thing they do is literally try and hide from God. It's essentially fixing it yourself and trying to hide from God is the natural result of a human with sin.
But what we're talking about is like is the situation that God put them in even a fair one?
So
Because
God put them in a paradise where they had the apple that was they're downfalling, but it begs the question, and this you may not agree with. This is you could argue is just apologetics. If you build a paradise and you don't build an exit, is it a prison?
no.
It is.
No.
If you can't leave, it's a prison. You're being
If
forced
it
there.
were genuinely a paradise, then you would not be capable of the desire to leave.
That's an assumption that I don't think I'm willing to make. I think you can want. I
No,
mean, that's the argument for people
it's-
that say like, I wouldn't want to be in heaven because I wouldn't want to be
Well,
near God.
can you leave heaven?
That's the outside, actually.
That doesn't answer my
like-
question. Can you leave heaven?
There's no, to go into a prison.
No, like, is it possible to leave heaven once you're there?
Heaven is everything that is not the prison.
Okay, that doesn't answer my question of whether or not you can leave it. Because by your standards, any paradise you cannot leave is a prison. So, can you leave heaven? If not, then it must be a prison.
Anyone that you don't have the choice to. You do have the choice to go to
Anyone
heaven.
that you don't have the choice to.
No, humans were originally, they didn't have a say in them being created.
No,
they
that's
showed
just
up
a
on Earth.
nonsense sentence to what I asked. I asked, can you leave heaven? And you said, anyone that doesn't have the choice to.
No, anyone who does have the choice.
Can they
okay.
leave heaven?
They made the choice to go to heaven.
Can you tell me whether or not you can or cannot leave heaven?
I can, but I know where you're going to go with this, and I think it's already fundamentally misunderstanding what I'm trying to say here.
You said
Yes.
any
No,
paradise
they
you cannot
cannot
leave is a
heaven.
prison.
Yes, but the thing that makes it a prison isn't the fact that it's barred. You're right, you're in a paradise. Why would you want to leave? It's the inability to make a choice.
Okay, so can you choose to leave heaven?
You can choose to go to heaven.
Can you choose to leave heaven?
That is the choice. I didn't say a continuous choice.
So you cannot, once you have made the choice to be there, you cannot choose to leave. And that's not a prison.
No, because everything else, that's like saying you get out of prison and then saying, can I go back in my prison cell? And then no, and then you're trapped on the outside of the prison.
Well, but if you're not allowed to leave, then it's, by your standard, it is a prison. That is, you set the standard. You set the standard of any paradise you cannot leave is a prison. So
I set the standard that any paradise you cannot leave, and then I qualified it without a choice. That choice does not need to be a continuous
without
forever
a
choice.
choice. Well,
That choice, it does not need to be continuous
if you
or forever.
cannot
don't need
choose
to,
to leave heaven.
You can choose to go there.
Okay,
Nobody's
so
forcing you to go.
so your ability to choose can be rescinded, and it's still not a prison.
There's no. I mean, if you okay, let's say yeah. I mean, I can't say it for sure, but if you go to heaven and you decide I don't want to be there, I'm sure God will gladly send you to hell. If that's what you need
Gladly?
to do. I mean, if you don't want to be there,
Think he would gladly send you to hell?
You know I'm being hyperbolic. Don't do
I'm
this.
I'm just asking.
Well,
It's,
don't do
I
this.
mean,
I'm being
he's a
little
sadistic
catty.
motherfucker in the Bible.
He's not.
Now, Vice. The fact that he created hell in the first place is sadistic.
If hell is viewed as a separation from God, it's exactly what people who want separation from him are getting.
Yeah, but he could also make a paradise where he's not there.
No, that's an oxymoron. I mean, it's a contradiction in and of itself. A paradise where he's not there is impossible. Paradise is synonymous to his existence.
I could just have all of the good things minus his existence being there, and it'd still be better than hell. It just needs to be better than like hell. It could just be like the step below heaven, where like has all the good parts except God's presence.
Yeah, but like
So
dottery
that-
still exists, you know?
Yeah, it could,
So
be, it
you're
could, be, it could be
saying
like
all
heaven,
the
but
good
you can fuck.
It's heaven with
You're saying-
dottery.
You're saying all the good parts, but without God. But God is all the good parts.
Is he the only good part to heaven?
He's the only thing that is good. He's what is good is in the first place. Heaven itself could be a room. It could be a paradise. The point of heaven
So
is
heaven
the
to you is a
eternal
room that you
paradise.
sit in and look at God.
Come on, man. I'm mid-conversation. Um,
Yeah, you're being really evasive and dishonest and just generally an intellectual coward, though. So it's been a really shitty conversation. So I thought I'd just kind of come in and see if we can keep you on track a little bit better.
I don't appreciate the rudeness, dude. I'm not.
Hey,
doing
I'm just
anything
telling you
about
how it
that.
is. If you don't appreciate honesty, I can't help you much.
Listen, it's okay. Fine. You know what? It's irrelevant. Whatever.
Yeah, you
The
are.
point. Okay, dude. It's.
Damn,
I'm
babe.
sorry. I'm not trying to. I'm not trying to.
Ease
like,
off
I
a little
really
bit,
don't-
okay?
I really feel like. I mean, I've been defending my argument, but I feel like I've been like pretty amicable, have I not? We may not disagree with each other, but I'm not like the last few people that have come up.
Your voice is pretty light.
Okay, I don't. Okay.
But you're being evasive, like I said, like repeatedly. Like, how long did it take you to answer yes or no to whether you can leave heaven or not, for instance?
I was trying to bring the clarification of the contingent fact that you need to have a choice. No, you cannot leave heaven. If you want to believe that you can leave heaven if you don't want to be there, then fine. That doesn't really affect my position.
Okay.
But I could see where it was going, and I needed to make that clarification because I didn't want it to get misconstrued. It's not me being evasive. I'm trying to clarify. Conversations are messy. This isn't a formal
But
debate.
typically you answer a question and then you go on to clarify afterwards, so people are assured that you're staying on track. Otherwise, they think you're evasive.
Hey, it's a misunderstanding. This isn't a formal debate. This is a TikTok live.
Right. I think you were just
This is a
avoiding a
very
topic that you
formal
knew
debate.
did break your
My bad.
argument.
No, I'm not trying to discredit your platform. Very formal, very demure.
We are very serious around here, and the insinuation that we are not is honestly a little heartbreaking to me.
You're right.
So
I
I
should know
just,
better.
if we could really just respect the medium here,
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that would be more amicable
We're
for
summoning
everybody.
ghosts now?
It's a seance.
Listen, I again, going into the weeds, I obviously don't think I can convert you there. It would take way too long and probably like actual sources in front of me to make better arguments. I would, because I'm not gonna bug you guys a lot. I'm gonna let you go. I'm gonna pray for you. I'm sorry if you don't want that, and I'm not even gonna pray for you to convert. I'm just gonna pray for you to have joy and success and prosperity in your life.
Can you
I'm
pray
not
for
on the
my
chat-
tits to get
not-
bigger?
If that's what you want, I will pray for the surgery to be successful. But
No,
I
not
won't do this
surgery.
over just
On their
natural
own.
miracle. That may be asking a lot, but let me see what I can do.
Okay. That's the only prayer that I consent to.
I would plead with you, not out of any like trying to just win an argument. Go through for the book again. Try to just read it with an open eyes. I know it's not going to convert you, but I do think it is the richest philosophical piece of text over the last 2,000 years. There's a reason we're still arguing over about it. It is not as simplistic as he's an evil god, and I think that's a discredit to thousands of years of historical data about this in research and conversations that in billions of people who have given their life to this. I'm not trying to say that you're going to come to the conclusions I am, but I just don't want you to miss out on something that I genuinely love.
You promise to give the Book of Mormon, the Quran, the Bhagavad Gita, all of those the same consideration?
You can throw that up if you want. I'm not trying to come from the point of view of I know I've read every single text. I'm telling you what's personal to me. This wasn't I can convert you from atheism to religion in general. I'm coming from my point of view. If you want to read all those too, yeah, I suggest it. But there's validity in reading the Bible. And again, it is one of the most debated historical texts of all time for a reason by some of the smartest human beings alive, and of all history. Isaac Newton. I mean, I'm not going to go into a ramble about it, but to just say that it's an evil, sadistic God is not giving that book enough
but
credit. And I do believe
Isaac
you're smart
Newton-
enough to know that.
Isaac Newton never knew what like a light bulb was, right? So we can say
He
that they're
also
the
never had
smartest
sex
people
and
of their
fasted himself to
time. We can say that they were smart at the time. We've learned a lot more now. So the smartest people now know a lot more
Listen.
than the smartest people then.
Don't take that Isaac Newton line as the main takeaway from that ramble. Listen,
I don't remember
Isaac
anything
Newton-
else you said except Isaac Newton.
Fair enough. Hey, listen, I will pray for you regardless. I hope you have a blessed night and a great rest of your life.
All right, tell him E-cups.
It's just funny when it comes to the Bible. It's not quite the document they always seem to think it is. It's not univocal. Every author of the Bible talks about God differently. It's the source of most of the problems in it. Oh well.
Someone in the chat said ribbit goat.
Where no horns tonight?
Oh, babe. No, the horns. I'll talk about it later. But also, thanks for spoiling that.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize it was.
Well, come on. Whatever you have to say it to Rat Soup.
Damn it. I was really hoping to address the last person, but I do have a question for Rat Soup.
Yeah.
Now, my understanding is that Noah only had one wife, but because of certain publication differences, sometimes I believe that one was named Sarai, but then there was one before, and I can't recall what her name is, or was, excuse me. But my understanding is that she was actually quite a big proponent of believing in God just in case. Do you have a similar understanding?
No, I don't think I do. What would you call
My
this?
understanding is that she maybe was a gambler, or was into gambling. But again, I can't recall her name. But it wasn't Sarai. But it was something about like believing in God just to be careful. Wasn't Sarai? Shit. I think it might have been the past gal's wager.
Oh, so his past gal made the wager? Yeah. I was wondering how it was going to come in there. I did not see. I was genuinely fishing for the word Pascal the whole time because I could not get it. Like, it was on the tip of my tongue and I could not think of it.
I knew it was gonna happen. I knew it was gonna happen.
Get it because it's Noah's past wife. It's his past gal, Pascal's wager. His past gal's wager.
Pascal's wager.
It was a good joke. It was a really good joke. All right, I'm gonna get going.
Bye.
Bye.
A couple people were asking where they could get a hat like this. I am going to be doing a monthly raffle. The start of each month, I'll draw for the previous one, where anyone who does a call streaming shift for me gets entered into a raffle to win a crochet piece, and this exact hat design is one of the options, as well as the strawberry hat. So you get to pick and choose which option you want me to crochet for you, but you can get one for free that I'll make myself for you. If you're interested, details are in the Discord. You can fill out the interest link to be a call screener. Basically all you do is just make sure that the people who are coming in aren't gonna be terrible people on my stream. Hate that we have to have those security measures in place, but seems to be necessary. Hey Dalton, I'm glad you like the frog hat. Seeing some interesting conversations happening in here. Dalton, if you want me to make Cam a strawberry hat, I will do it. Which Discord? Mine, the Bionic Barnyard. You can check the link tree. That is in a certain bio. I don't know if I can even say that word anymore. But if you check that out, you'll find the Discord and you'll also find the interest form. So that will be nice. I just did a little wave dance. You can't really see outside of my shoulders. But it was like really good. So yeah, the Bionic Barnyard. What is up?
Hats for people?
What? Huh? What? Hi.
I just got here. You make hats for people?
Not always, but I would make one for you and Cam.
I will. You know what? I'll message her. I bet she'd love a strawberry hat. She loves strawberries.
Do it.
Yeah, we'll do. I'll message you about that. And you know what? I'll pay you well for it too, because craftsmanship like that deserves fair compensation.
I was just gonna do it, but I appreciate that.
Yeah, everyone like and subscribe to robotgoat and stuff. Okay, that's it.
Hey, look at that! A sparkling endorsement from the Bible guy. Thank you for coming on, Dalton. Discord link expired. It should not be. I updated it recently. Let me make sure real quick. Yeah, no, it should be infinite. You might have to copy and paste it into a browser if you're on mobile. That does happen. Well, we have one more person. Oh, Noah's Lions, yes. I am so excited to wear that dress. I do want to do it, though, on a day where it is nice outside so I can get good pictures, and I can come on, like, a full hair and makeup look from taking pictures in it. But Noah's Lions, you guys made me this gorgeous dress. So I am so fucking excited to wear that sometime soon for you guys. Welcome in. Can I get your name, age, and pronouns? We can't hear you when you're, like, outside the app. You were waiting in here for a while. Oh. All right. I was just about to close out the stream. Did you have something you wanted to say?
There is nothing in my hands. Nothing in my hands. You see my hands.
You gonna do it with your
see my
toes,
hands?
motherfucker?
No, and I'm not showing you the freedom of my toes.
I don't want to see them. I just want assurance that you're not going to use them for evil.
I will not use them for. You know what? No, I will not use my toes for evil. I will give you the solidarity in that and the confidence in that I will not use my toes for evil.
Okay. I believe you for now.
No, I just came in because DisDD went live and he's not accepting my live requests on bothering my other friends because I stopped being live.
Well,
I went live for a little bit.
Well, I'm finishing up right now, so unfortunately there's not much for you to say or do. So you're just here to terrorize me. Oh, I can show you though that I got this at Ren Fair today. They were like hand making them in the booth. So these are all handmade. This is Marshall, and he's got little wings too.
Oh hell yeah! My mom was gonna go to Ren Fair, and then my fucking my stepdad.
Okay.
He happened.
Okay,
and I don't
Chloe
think I need
Bryce.
to say much more than that.
Well, thank you for being up here. I'll talk to you later.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye. All right. Well, that is going to wrap up for tonight. Oh, for the people who made this, they have a website. It's Bast's Garden, but their Etsy page is like currently shut down, so they don't really have anything online at the moment. But if you're new here and you have not yet followed, make sure you follow me before I end the stream, or else you may never find me again. And that would be sad for both of us. If you are on YouTube and you are not subbed yet, you're missing out on quality content, obviously. Because next stream I'm gonna have e-cups. I have it on good faith. So tomorrow I will be first guesting on Mezzo's Atheist Sunday School stream, and then I will have my after show stream for Atheist Sunday School, aka Ass for Ass. So make sure to tune in tomorrow, starting at, I want to say it's 8 Pacific AM, somewhere in there. I'll be on Mezzo stream, then I'll be on my own stream. So look out for that. Join the Discord if you haven't already. Big thank you to my mods for helping keep chat sane tonight. You guys have a lot of work to do over on YouTube, so I appreciate that. TikTok, and like usual, you're gonna be the first to go. Bye. Alright, TikTok is gone, so if you guys have any last minute shit you want to talk about TikTok, now's the time to do it. Right? So if you want to be like, oh, TikTok, what? They got no attention span. It's just Cocomelon for adults. I'm not encouraging that, but I would allow it. Okay, no, that's too much. That's